Most recently, a video clip appeared on the internet in which a girl defiantly eats peach. She is brightly made up and also dressed in men's clothing. Internet users are very dissatisfied with the fact that such a cutie has a peach. Some even claim to be so gentle. The style destroys the masculinity that Daxia's women have built up for millennia. In the past, women, they were evaluated either as beauties or as needlewomen, but the masculine style destroys image. In response to this method of perverting aesthetic development, TV and radio companies, Daxia announced that they intend to put an end to the wrong aesthetic of the cutie by looking in the phone. Overweight guy didn't understand what was going on. He mentally assumed that it was divine rebirth. It turns out that it's been 2 days since he ended up in the world. He still couldn't get used to this heavy mortal body and crazy world. Before rebirth, he was a descendant of the emperor. One wave of his hand blotted out the sky. It was a truly impressive sight. However, it is very difficult for him to open a news page every day, feed and see how men are insulted. A world without cultivators is a modern world where the roles of men and women were reversed. Women take men as their husbands and provide for them, family, and men take care of their appearance. The worst part is that the meager spiritual energy of this mirror has damaged his soul again, so it's not easy for him to regain his strength. But the demon was there, too strong. They fought to destroy this endless void. The fact that he was able to survive, just an accident. The rest of his soul was trapped in the void vortex. It's a miracle that he was able to get in another world and find the body that just died in order to be reborn. Speaking of this body, I think its name is Lin Mo. From his memories, the hero learned that he was an ordinary rich kid at the best private high school. The cultivator doesn't know if he has been reborn. Lee Mazan is just like him. In any case, before his power returns, all he can do is use it. Lin Mo's personality. It seems that the emperor is also going to school. This guy's family is pretty good. It's a pity that this house isn't as big as its fish pond. His parents died in a car accident when he was a kid. The guardian grandmother is now in the hospital due to illness, Alzheimer's disease. After that, my aunt started looking after me, and her family moved in with them. And all what was his became theirs. Living expenses were reduced to a negligible amount. The real owner of the body is weak-willed and spineless. It doesn't do anything. He couldn't change the situation, so he just had to endure in silence, putting on a decent one. Finally, the hero went to the kitchen, where the whole family was already gathered at the table. There were 3 people in total. The first was Liu Youngjin's uncle. It was a young man with glasses and a very calm look in his eyes. His bangs covered his right eye. The other was Lin Zixuan's cousin. This is a guy with red expressive eyes, from one smile of which you could understand that he likes to make fun of Lin Mo. The third person was Aunt Lin Lai. It was a woman, with glasses and short purple hair. It was she who spoke, noting what she had heard from the other side of the room. The school news has something important, so He Yonghu is right that his engagement to her is complete. This is absurd. The reborn one remembers who Hyo Yonghu is. This is the man that my grandmother. I was going to introduce you to the real owner of the body before I got sick. But the problem is that He Yonghu was scared when she found out. She refuses to communicate with a guy due to the fact that he fat. This greatly upset the owner of the body, which is why he was careless, running out on the road where he was accidentally hit by a car. Since his aunt said so, it seems to be a prenuptial. The contract was also automatically terminated. This is very good news. There are women in this world. They marry men. So the hero does not understand how his generation could have married the emperors. After that, the aunt instructed Lin Mo not to show any signs of aggression in the future. No amateur activities with prenuptial agreements that somehow concern her. Lin Lai notices that this child is behaving differently today. She has an inexplicable feeling. Oppression. Papa Danet sits down at the table with the rest of the family. It turns out that he hasn't eaten ever since I lost my appetite. He absolutely does not want to eat now, but that this body does not starve to death, he'll have to fight it out. Taking a small piece of food with chopsticks, I put it in my mouth. The smell and appearance of the dish was not bad, and it also tasted good. In that, his cousin advises him to transfer abroad. The guy pretends to care about the hero, hiding it behind a mask of hypocrisy. All her classmates know that he confessed to her in front of everyone, so he will be ashamed of it for the rest of his life. Papa Danitz mentally notes that all this is real nonsense, since the emperor has ruled for 10,000 years, and that has never been a matter of opinion. Ants, however, while he is here, he needs to play the role of an ordinary person. Lin Mo assures that he is quite satisfied with this school. The interlocutor stands his ground, saying that while he receives grades, it doesn't matter where he goes to school. The hero wants his cousin to get rid of him by keeping quiet for a while. Another 100 years. An hour passes. Two relatives are given a ride by a driver to school. Lin Zuxuan asks his cousin not to follow him out of the car at the same time. The hero throws on. He gives me a sour look, but doesn't say anything back. A herd runs down the boy's back. Goosebumps, but he quickly goes to school. The Reborn one comes out in a minute from cars. He pauses at the entrance to the school, enjoying the view and acknowledging that the architecture in this world is quite new. But the surrounding guys are one more dazzling than the other, and they show off their white legs. Women look normal. Then the emperor hears that two girls were admiring his cousin's legs. He realizes that it's just obscene. The hero himself is very hard now, because the world seems to have gone mad. Lin Mo is going with. He calms himself down with his thoughts, because he doesn't know if the demon got here, but he will definitely. He'll show up when he's strong enough. Chapter 1-2. As Lin Mo walks through the corridors of the school, he remembers where his class is from memory. From the threshold of the same, girls start teasing them. They also bully Yanhui, who is silent, tolerates it all. The girl, seeing that the guy entered the classroom, clucks loudly. The emperor can't describe in words how boring these mortals are. He only holds his gaze for a moment at the girl, then goes to the last desk. This surprises everyone present. The hero reflects on how to restore his strength, because the divine power, the gifts of heaven, and however, even ordinary training is difficult for him. Then a woman's hand falls on the guy's shoulder, which emphasizes that she said she didn't like him, but he still didn't like her. I listened to it. A neighbor at the desk notices that real life is not some kind of TV series, so if I listened to her, even though she's not an expert, I wouldn't make an idiot of myself. This girl's name is Song Yuncha. She's his roommate. The interlocutor asks the guy to think who in general could fall in love with him. Noticing the hero's impassive face, she realizes that she has gone a little too far. Sun corrected by saying that even a fat guy has a chance. If he lost weight and dressed up, then Yonghui. Definitely pay attention to it. She believes that there are no ugly men, but there are lazy ones. Lin Mo calmly clarifies what the girl needs. She's a little surprised, not quite understanding how the guy feels. I guessed it. He also explains that she wasn't so interested before. Sun admits that. I wanted to ask a neighbor for a favor. The hero immediately says that there is nothing he can do to help. However, a representative of the fair sex tells about her request. She wants him to. I played with her. It won't be long, and then she'll introduce him to a much better girl than he. Yonghui. They will go to Mount Waju in the summer, and he can join them. If the guy decides to go. If you're alone, you'll never make it to the top, but if you set a goal, it'll be easy for her. The girl notes that the guy cannot even imagine what kind of view of the stars opens with tops, so if he refuses, he'll regret it for the rest of his life. The emperor is not interested in neither the view from the mountain, nor the appearance of a new girl. He had heard that Mount Waju was soaking up the pure aura. It's considered the highest and most beautiful place, so there's probably a lot of space there. The accumulation of energy, so the offer of the interlocutor sounds tempting, because if he goes on foot, you will have to say goodbye to this pathetic little body. The guy agrees, noting that he's not much of a player. Sung is happy about this, asking neighbor Yon to worry, as he has a nice day. Voice. It turns out that she has a third-grade goofball on her team who can only do that. She wants to find a player who will be more useful. The captain said that it will help if they have a guy with them. His job is to talk more. They can take advantage of school equipment after school hours. The hero accepts this. School hours are flying by, unnoticed. The girl says that she specifically canceled all classes at the club for today, so that no one interferes with them during the game. They sit down at their computers, and Sun immediately clarifies whether the guy has an account. He gives a positive answer by connecting to the network. In a few moments later, they find themselves in the game world. A neighbor warns that the captain she is trying to reach is a friend of mine. She invited them, the champion, so she will go ahead, and they only need to follow her. Another female character appears nearby. She is surprised that her friend actually brought it. The guy, so she'll know where he's from right away. Lin Mo calmly replies that he is her classmate. The voice champion understands that he is a schoolboy. She gives him a loving look, and Sung the same reminds that she started a 3-on-3 battle, and the victory will depend on the number defeated enemies. The champion asks the couple to stand still and watch her smash them. Everyone. The classmate also breaks forward, asking the guy to hide while she is waiting for him. Look around. Papadanites also reflect on the world of the game. Cultivators in this world. Mythical creatures. Sword fighting, spells, healing. The game's setting is similar to this world. He assumes that there really are spellcasters in this world, so the Emperor decides not to let his guard down. After some time, you receive an alert that the killer card is being used. The cat was killed by a flying feather. The champion is reborn next to the hero, stating that she lost. The girl again breaks into battle, saying that they learn from mistakes, so she will take revenge on them. Through a couple of moments later, a second notification arrives about her death. The champion starts to get angry, breaking down into battle. At this time, Sun reports that he is rushing to the rescue, noting that the enemy team there must be a leader. In the hero's team, several deaths occur in a row. This brings up the neighbor out of herself because she doesn't understand why her little sister is dying, because she specially brought a pretty boy to raise your spirits. The leader says that the flying feather is in the top 100 champions of the game. Sung asks the guy to be careful because the feather is coming straight to him. Lin Mo keeps you completely calm. If he feels danger, he avoids it. It's an instinct, accumulated over tens of thousands of years. Besides, the Emperor shouldn't be killed by a mortal. Even in the game, the character of the hero breaks off, starting to run away. At this time, the game team consists of girls communicate with each other. The flying feather turns out to be a girl named Yutan. It really is one of the top 100 champions of the game. A team member notes that one opponent is running away. The girl notices that he will not run away anywhere. Lin Mo notices that the enemy is chasing him. He stops, realizing that so what? From the moment he became emperor, he was never hunted. He disappears abruptly into the bushes. This reaction strikes the opponent. The hero also realizes that attacks in this game are a test. You don't have enough stamina, and you won't be able to win just by using your body, but you can use your spiritual power to temporarily strengthen your character. Yutan easily finds the guy, thinking that this swordsman doesn't know how to hide. She takes him for a real noob. The girl jumps out of the bushes, attacking from the ground. Surprisingly, Lin Mo was just waiting for this, looking for the right moment to attack. The energy shot overtakes the enemy. The system notifies that a flying feather has been killed. Little Momo, Yutan's two girlfriends are at a loss. One of them suggests that there was a pro player in a male guise. The girl herself freezes in place, not knowing what to say. Sun praises his classmate, believing that he has a real talent. The guy bows his head, not at all happy about this development. This starts to worry the neighbor. It turns out that even the slightest use of the powers of a damaged soul can seriously weaken the physical body. So the Emperor's actions hurt himself. Yutan is very angry that she was overpowered by a team of kiddas. Her teammates ask her to come too. Nim, however, has little time left. Then she notices the hero. He continues to run, which is a little. The girl is surprised because they don't seem to be playing catch up. She takes off, deciding to take it. A rematch. Lin Mo notices that he is being chased again, so he decides to fight again. He stops, releasing an attack at the enemy. Yutang is amazed that the opponent released the skill from such a distance, hoping to injure her. She tries to dodge, but the magic sword hits her leg. The girl falls to the ground, wondering what was happening. She assumes that it was a warning to stop. I'll give chase. Meanwhile, the killer kitty kills her teammates, and the game ends. Her friend notices that they lost, and Song Yunshu is probably laughing at them now. The champion grabs the girl by the scruff of the neck, demanding that she drag the opponents here. Really interested in baby Momo. Sun gets a phone call. She agrees to the meeting. The neighbor offers the hero to go with her because there is a possibility that girl fell in love with him. Lin Mo refuses, thanks for offer and asking not to forget about the promise. The girl also invites her friends to a meeting. The Emperor returns home, then falls on the bed in his clothes. The body is too weak to withstand this force. The next morning, the hero goes to school. However, someone stops him on the way. The cousin tells him that Yonghui is asking him to explain to his classmates that there is no marriage contract. There was no contract because everyone laughs at her, supposedly she likes fat people. The hero understands why to explain something that didn't happen. The interlocutor perceives such behavior as arrogance. When a guy enters the classroom, his neighbor calls him to her. She tells us that flying feather was Zhao Yutang. These words do not give the hero anything, so he demands some explanation. The girl says that this is the same Zhang Yutan from their school. Sun Mi understands why the guy became such a pushover after getting his heart broken. She decides, don't dig into it by just saying that the headman wants to see him or baby Momo. However, the guy should not worry because she will not do anything wrong. Lin Mo gives a menacing look on the interlocutor, from which she immediately shies away. He claims that he is not baby Momo. At this moment, Yonghui walks up to the Reborn's desk. She hits the desk, trying to get out of it. To draw attention to yourself and want to clarify something. She recalls that he said that their marriage, this isn't a joke. The neighbor stands up for the guy, who notes that a classmate is crossing the borders, because Lin Mo is a boy, so that should show at least a little compassion. Yang Hui doesn't understand what's wrong with Song, so she presses her, asking if it's an accident. She doesn't like the guy. The neighbor tries to calm herself down. The emperor notices that already. It doesn't matter if it was a joke or not, there's nothing between them right now. This surprises the girl. She quickly comes to her senses, urging the interlocutor to remove this mask of indifference, because he is forever. I've been bugging her about this marriage thing, and she's tired of listening to it. Yang Hui notes that it's fine. She knows about the guy's feelings for her, but when she comes to their house, she only looks at Lin Zixuan. The classmates are amazed at Lin Mo's strength, because he didn't even cry. One of the guys. He admits that he would have run away to his place long ago. Then the door to the classroom opens, which attracts the attention of those present and makes the guys admire. Yu Tan enters the room with his team. One of the guys tells a rumor that little sister Zhao is sarcastic, rich, and unapproachable, and anyone who gets in her way is thrown out of the picture. School. Yu Tang points to the back of the classroom. Yang Hui thinks they're talking to her. Therefore, she starts to sweat nervously, but the blonde calls baby Momo to come out. Boys. They look at each other, not understanding who little Momo is. Sun asks for a neighbor. Respond to it. The hero also mentally notes that the emperor cannot be a baby. Momo. This is making him very angry. My classmates are wondering what Lin Mo has in mind. Business with Yu Tan and why she calls him baby Momo. The friend apologizes, saying that she wanted to play one-on-one with him. She wants to. The guy still played with her and then can already kill her. The hero also notices that nearby, too many people. He goes out into the corridor where Yu Tan is already waiting for him. The blonde thought that baby Momo is a girl. She's a little surprised that it's a guy. Lin Mo also remembers. Interesting fact. In ancient times, women wore a skirt to conquer the world, and now it is an ordinary item of clothing. The girl asks if he is the same guy who played with her yesterday. After, if there is no positive answer, she asks why he was running away. The same person answers that he scored points. This, annoying Yu Tan. She declares that after school they will fight one-on-one. The emperor replied that he doesn't play games, and yesterday he beat her by accident. After that, without waiting for a response, he says goodbye as he enters the classroom. This angers the blonde, who decides to ask her friend if this guy knows Fatty, who is Zhao Yu Tan. The same one laughs back. The girl still pulls herself together and tells her that Lin Mo was recently rejected, so he is very upset. He worries, which is why he behaves as if he is not afraid of her. Yu Tan orders her friends, bring it to the site at noon. She accepts the order. Classmates want to know that Yu Tan. I told the hero and what she needed. The guy ignores them, silently taking his seat. Sun is the same. She notices that he beat her yesterday, so when he plays one-on-one with her, he shouldn't try too hard. She also bows her head with a sign of apology, adding that Zhu Wai take him to Mount Wazhu to pick up a pair of beauties. Lin Mo notes that you don't need to take up no one. Sun assumes that the neighbor wants to spend time together. It scares her, so she claims to be a real bitch, and when she's wearing a skirt, she ignores everyone, so she's even worse than Yang Hui, so he shouldn't fall for her. The hero bows his head, just wishing this girl would shut up. At the end of class, Yu Tan's friend comes into the classroom. She wants to take the guy to the playroom, but he's already gone. The girl tells her friend that she screwed up a little. At this time, the hero is in the dining room. Others whisper about his weight. He asks the cook to wrap up his food with him. Emperor, get out of the building. The mortal world seems too noisy for him. He can't get used to this one. He hoped that no one would disturb him. At this time, traffic is moving through the school grounds. A beautiful girl. She says Han Zini is seriously ill. It would be a miracle if she lived 3 more years, but there is a chance. You just need to connect with the deity. They have the same names, which means they're special. All her wishes will be fulfilled. The guys throw amorous glances at the beauty. She also notices that she made the right choice. Now the 18 years she has lived will be hers. It is a pity that her joys and sorrows are only a matter of time. Little things for Wang Yang. She thinks that she did a great job for Fan Zai and was able to kill him. The emperor. She hoped that she would be happy, but on the contrary, she feels only emptiness. Everything you need. What she wants is to revive the demon world. After that, she shuts her mind, realizing that the emperor has a lot of trump cards up his sleeve, so killing him will be problematic. She assumes that he is also in this world, so she should be more careful. Girl admits that this world is really interesting. In her own world, no matter how hard she tried, but it was just the same. I couldn't get my father's approval just because I was born a girl. These fucking the louts looked down on her and only wanted to possess her, but that only lasted until then. Until she put on the evil spirit mask and killed them. That's how they became afraid of her. Here, men have no privileges, and the culture is not bad, so there is a problem with spiritual energy. In addition, it is too beautiful, which is why there is no end of guys. Then she notices that the fat man, still following her. The girl assumes that it just smells good. She stops abruptly. The hero stops in front of her. The girl urges him not to follow her, because between them, it can't be anything. Linmo just passes by, calling her crazy. It's driving. Beauty and paint. Her brain boils, and she decides that she needs to recover as quickly as possible. Power up and get out of this world. The girl breaks down the stairs after the guy, deciding to fulfill the wish, since she made her promise. He runs out onto the roof, where the fat man is standing at the edge, looking down. From the outside, it seems that he really is. He wants to commit suicide. She holds out her hand forwards, ordering them to step back, but she quickly realizes that she has no strength in this world. Linmo also enjoys the peace and coolness, deciding to eat before going downstairs. The beauty calls him to stop. She runs over from behind and grabs it. The hero doesn't understand what she's doing. The girl lifts the guy on her, pulling him away from the edge. The same one demands that she leave. Through. For a moment, she can't support the fat man's weight, causing them both to fall on their backs. Linmo, it turns out to be on top. There is a crunch of bones, which does not bode well. Guy, she says that she was just thinking, after which he clarifies what she needs. Representative. The Pharisex growls that she just wanted to know what he would do, and if he wanted to. If he dies, then he should not cause problems to others. She grabs her torso, realizing that I broke a rib. All the emperor's anger disappears, because there was a misunderstanding. He watches carefully as the girl struggles to get to her feet, making sure that the mortals can't get up. Very fragile, and that women are the stronger sex, but even those are not iron. The guy gives her a helping hand, which makes her look puzzled. He explains that she has a very rich imagination, because he just wanted to get some air, so he went to the beach. I wasn't going to jump on the roof. The hero also emphasizes that the girl is not interesting to him. It really hurts the pride of a female. She pushes his helping hand away, demanding that he leave, so that she wouldn't see him again. Linmo starts to leave, making a mental note that the emperor. It almost never works, but no one has ever rejected it. For him, women in this world are very important. Strange, because they embrace others, even if they don't agree. The hero returns to the classroom and he takes his seat. The next door neighbor also decides to find out where he was, because Zhao Yutan and the girls were looking for him, so now they won't let go so easily. Linmo glares at her, telling her to figure it out for herself, because she was the one who started this mess. Sun declares that this won't do, so they'll go play with Yutan after school. Girl explains that the opponent had a terrible day yesterday, so he needs to let her win, and she will. Calm down. The guy doesn't agree with this, because the emperor never loses. He can't just retreat like that. In addition, the hero believes that you cannot let the girl win just to make her happy. The neighbor tries to reason with the fat man, saying that Zhao Yutang is the eldest in the family, so they are just specks of dust to her, so they can't take that risk. The emperor reminds us that she is the one who started all this. The girl justifies herself, noting that I didn't know that he would beat the champion, because for that it is an insult. Sun is willing to do anything for Linmo to just agree to lose to Yutang. Even if he asks her out on a date, she'll never know. He'll agree, but it doesn't work on the guy. His answer remains unchanged. Lessons are ending. The reborn man is going home, reminding his neighbor about Mount Washu. Once outside, he remembers the strange girl who tried to save him from suicide. He realizes that he has broken her rib, but he is experiencing a strange flow of feelings, not knowing if she should, whether she cared about him or not. The emperor realizes that he has completely forgotten that mortals are very fragile. He notices that the girl, I did break a rib, but the ambulance never arrived. The guy assumes that she lost consciousness. Then it dawns on him that the lives of people in this world are very valuable, so if the police find him, he's finished. He takes off, deciding to go back and check it out. At that time, a representative of the fair sex really stayed on the roof. A mortal's body is too much, weak enough to get up with such an injury. In addition, it is very windy and cold on the roof. She also, I want to eat. She starts yelling for help because her phone's battery is dead. Here it is, torn by doubts, because she is a demon who cannot ask for help, so it is decided that it is better to just die here. She admits that she did not expect such a development. Events. The demon believes that only the emperor can kill her in this world, so it's very sad that she had suffered at the hands of some fat man. At that moment, footsteps resound on the roof. Hero appears in front of her. The girl immediately boldly asks why he came here. Guy. He gets down on one knee, which causes panic in the victim. He admits that the girl is not so stupid. I didn't even call for help. The emperor gently touches her waist, which causes her to embarrassment at the demon, who immediately demands to remove his hands. The guy notices that the rib is it's broken. He also emphasizes that the interlocutor's body is very fragile, so she needs more. Do sport. The beauty also declares that it is not for him to talk about it, because of his weight. A broken bone, so if he was thinner it wouldn't have happened. The hero starts to unbutton buttons on the jacket. This makes the girl blush profusely, because she doesn't understand what he is doing. I was going to do it. The guy just throws his clothes over her, saying that it's cold in here and it is worth throwing it on and calm down. He admits that all this happened because of a misunderstanding. So now he would call an ambulance and they would be even. Lin Mo calls an ambulance on his mobile phone, after which the girl asks him to pick up his jacket. She notes that she understands perfectly well that she doesn't like the clothes of some fat man, but she will have to be patient because people are too weak, so she can take it off when the ambulance arrives. Then the demon realizes to himself that he does not despise others because of their position. She didn't think that he'll be such a nice guy. The world demands a lot from men, and he's fat. Girl understands that you should be more attentive. She thinks it's funny that people are so fixated on appearances that do not notice the inner world. As soon as the ambulance arrives, the hero conducts medics to the victim. Two girls passing by assume that someone got into a fight. At this time, the demon covers his face with his hands, blushing with shame and cursing the gods for his actions. Self-mockery. In the late afternoon, the emperor returns home by taxi. From the doorway, he is bombarded with questions from his cousin, who wants to know why Zhao Yutang. She was looking for him and how he hooked her. Lin Mo ignores him. Then the evil cousin repeats his own question without letting the other person enter the house. The emperor warns us not to repeat it. There will be more and requires you to leave. The look that falls on the boy makes the latter tense. He does not understand where that naive boy disappeared, because from his current relative he goes. Goosebumps all over my body. My cousin says it can't be helped that he's so fat. I am sure that the fat man provoked her, so he urges him not to create problems for the family. The emperor just ignores the chatterbox, which makes him even angrier. My cousin reminds me that the guy is no longer a child, so he should believe that he can make his mother throw him out of this house. Lin Mo stops, turning half a turn and saying that a relative forgot something important. This is his house. This completely pisses the kid off, so he raises his hand to teach Tom a lesson. The hero easily intercepts the hand. A fool for a brush. Lin Mo twists his cousin's arm, amazed that with such poor physical fitness, the mortal wanted to do something to him. The same one asks you to stop it. The emperor gets tired of all this. He throws Chatterbox to the floor, telling him to just get out. The same one, with tears in his eyes, runs away to his father's house. Second floor to complain about. The uncle comes down in an apron to the hero, asking how dare he beat up your cousin. He raises his hand to punish him. The Reborn one intercepts a blow in the same way, causing the uncle to instantly admit defeat. Lin Mo also gives. His uncle's advice was that the man was no longer in his way. The man claims that his nephew is behaving abominably. He starts calling out to his wife, claiming that if she didn't come down, Lin Mo would beat him and their son up. My aunt goes downstairs. A loud voice silences the husband and son. She approaches the hero. Looking into his eyes, he realizes that this boy has changed. My aunt points out that it doesn't matter what's here. It happened because it was his fault, so he should immediately apologize to his uncle and mother. The cousin. The emperor notices in his mind that Lin Lai is the first person to ask Ben Dai to apologize. The guy passes by the woman, saying that the guilty should apologize, and this is not about him. Then she warns that he can forget about pocket money if he does not ask. Excuse me. The hero accepts this, remaining with his opinion. He goes into his room and closes the door. As Lin Mo puts out his things, he realizes that money is a stumbling block, because without it, there will be a problem. It is difficult to get food on Mount Waju, so he should find a living. The guy notices that it's not much else to sell, and the money for personal expenses has run out. He's got everything. There are also sets of clothes and socks. He turns on the computer and logs onto the network to see if they can be sold. After placing an ad, he is amazed that it is very fast. A customer appears. 3 different girls write about the purchase. The first one specifies whether this one is branded thing. The second one asks if they smell like it. And the third one wants him to send a picture. Emperor. After reading these messages, he falls out of his chair. The Emperor has never been afraid of the devil, but these ladies give him the creeps. He decides, now delete the ad, because who knows what they want to do with his clothes. Lin Mo. It is amazing that such a small thing as money was able to drive into a dead end. He takes off his shirt, deciding, before going to bed, conduct a series of exercises, because he needs to regain his strength. Body base. Perfection. If it absorbs spiritual energy, money will no longer be such a problem. He decides to try to train the same way as in his previous life. 3 minutes pass. The guy falls onto the bed, sweating profusely. He was very exhausted, and even without spiritual energy, he couldn't. It will be able to support the body. Then his phone starts ringing. His desk mate calls. I wrote to him, but he didn't say so. The Emperor still asks what is the matter. Girl, he reminds me that there's nothing wrong, just that they're going to the mountain tomorrow. The hero doesn't understand. What is the problem? Sun notes that Yang Hui and his cousin are coming too, so she suggests going with him on another day, because this couple will mock him if he goes. The Emperor, on the other hand, has never been bothered by ridicule, so he declares that he will go with her tomorrow. The girl no longer argues, simply saying not to be late and warning that the bus will be there tomorrow. Near his house. Chapter 1-6. The next day arrives. Lin Mo goes to the kitchen to have breakfast. Cousin right away. She starts making fun of him, asking him why he got up so early today and asking him not to talk. That Yang Hui had invited him for a walk as well. The hero completely ignores the talkative relative. While eating, this strikes the latter, who does not understand what is wrong with the guy. Happens. At this time, the bus pulls up to the house. Cousin says goodbye to everyone, because the bus arrived. A girl gets off the bus and meets a guy. He wants to help him pack his luggage. The boy grabs the girl's hand, telling her that he's scared shitless. The interlocutor wants to find out what's going on. When they get on the bus, he tells them that it's all about Lin Mo, by its name. Now that the girl had rejected him, he'd taken it out on him, and last night he'd taken it out on her. I pushed him and got into a fight with my father. All my classmates are shocked by this, because for them it's terrible. Yang Hui decides that it would be the right decision not to take the guy to Mount Waju. Everyone who heard it. The violet-haired man's story supports this decision. Then Sun chimes in, saying, I don't know. Informs them that Lin Mo will be with them. One of the girls doesn't understand how it's going to work at all. Climb, because it is very fat. The girl explains that it will be slow, but they are the same. Odnaklasniki, so do not slander him like that. The interviewee decides to listen. A friend just because she's in charge today. Sun makes a mental note not to think about it. She might have expected him to actually go, and she was also afraid of seeing Yang Hui confused. But it was all right. All right. She wants to believe that if she takes it, nothing terrible will happen. After a while, a reborn person gets on the bus. He doesn't say hello to anyone when he goes to the hospital. End of the bus. Yang Hui blocks his way, wanting to know why he pushed Zixuan. The Emperor glances at his cousin, who looks startled. He wonders what heroism is. Saves beauty. Then Sun puts a hand on her friend's shoulder, saying it's just a misunderstanding. Lin Mo isn't that terrible. A girl asks a friend to take her place and enjoy the amazing view. The hero sits down on the seat, after which the neighbor asks the driver to go to the next a place to pick up people. Lin Mo hoped that this time around, there would be no mishaps. Here it is. Notices a girl wearing a helmet on a motorcycle. She looks at him, which surprises the Emperor. Instead, the rider accelerates. She passes the bus and slams to a stop, standing sideways. The driver slams on the brake and the passengers. They hit from an unexpected stop. The bus driver throws obscenities to the side. A motorcyclist. The girl goes to the transport. Along the way, she takes off her helmet, forcing the guys to blush. This is Zhao Yutan. Sung makes a hand-to-face gesture, realizing that she only came because of the Lin Mo. This girl is really only doing this because of losing. The guys start counting. That Yan Shu was able to call Yu Tang over with them, which is just great. The main one decides to go out and find out everything. The bus doors open and the blonde walks in. Sun immediately asks her what she's doing. The same. He says he's only here because of the fat man. If it wasn't for his fat face, she would have scored. Oh, the audience starts laughing at this. Yutan wants the hero not to go to the mountain, but to go with. She's in a coffee shop. Then she would let his ex, who had rejected him, come to him later. This causes confusion in Yanhui. The emperor asks the girl to stop bothering him. My classmates freeze. The laughter stops and there is silence. Yutan is amazed by this. Words. They make her very angry. And in her mind she notes that if it wasn't for his victory in that game, she would have. I would never have said a word to him in my life. The blonde pulls herself together, comes close to the guy and asks if he wants to fight or not. Here the hero notices a pendant around the neck of the interlocutor. The amulet contained a huge amount of aura. Although it was weak, it clearly belonged to a cultivator. The emperor understands that the execution technique is rather crude, and it doesn't look like it's very efficient. Coming out of the demon lord's hands. Obviously, it is difficult to get such a thing in this world, so it assumes that there is someone else in it. Yutan straightens up, repeating his question. The guy says that he will play only after a trip to Mount Wuzhou. In his mind, he notices that there was a possibility that he would be able to find a cultivator thanks to her. Sun starts calling out, my sister wants to go with them, because their goal is the top of the mountain. The others also join in. The blonde decides to ask if Lin Mo can climb to the top of Mount Wuzhou. Classmates, they also call on her to witness a miracle with them. Yutan takes a seat next to the hero, saying that he is a very popular fat guy, although a simple fat guy. However, she wants to see how he is. Climb to the top of the mountain. Then one of the guys comes up to her, offering to sit with him because there is another place that is not so crowded. The blonde shuts him up by recruiting servants and ordering him to leave. The last one to pick up his bike. The boy runs away in tears. Yutan decides to find out if the other person has games on his phone, because she wants to play with him now. Lin Mo gives a positive answer, adding that if she loses, then she needs to promise him something. The girl notices that this is quite bold, because it's better for the guy to prepare for losing. And running her errands, another guy runs up to Yutan, offering to play with him. The same, rudely and sharply dismisses him. Odnoklasniki are wondering if Lin Mo is good at games and why would Yutan want to play with him. They address these questions to Zixuan. The same one asks for, don't ask him about it, because what he really wants to know is why. What's happening really pisses him off. At this time, the couple starts the game. Yutan thinks that the opponent is just running away from her. However, he turns around during the flight, starting to aim at her. The girl is amazed that he is going to hit her at such a high speed. To the next. A moment later, the hero's attack overtakes her. The emperor emerges victorious. The blonde is in. She is confused until the guy informs her that she has lost. She lashes out at me, asking him questions, wanting to know how he did it and how he was able to. Lin Mo tells that everyone, each step in the game is well thought out, and while they are calculating everything, they will reach the goal, and even with a small amount of time. You can win with luck. At this point, the interlocutor is like a god in the eyes of a girl. She assumes that she has met a genius with even more talent than she has. Actually, the Reborn one channeled spiritual energy into the brain and added a bit of luck. Yutan admits her defeat, saying that he could ask her for anything. The same person demands to translate it to him. 10,000 yuan. The blonde believes that this is a fairly small amount because she can transfer money to him every month, and she can also force his ex to come back to him, as long as he was her partner. The same one reports that it is not necessary, because it needs just money. This money is needed for physical training. He hands the phone to her and then says, I don't know. Her hands are shaking. She can't accept defeat. Yutan snatches the guy's phone, then performs a standard operation. Further, notifies him that she transferred money to him, and also wrote down her phone number so that he wouldn't dare reset it if she calls. The blonde returns the phone to the other person, noticing that he needs it. Don't call her yourself or give her number to anyone else. The hero also mentally understands that even as an emperor, he wasn't as arrogant as this woman. At this point, Yutan declares that it's cramped. She gets up from her seat, walks over to Yanhui, and orders her to leave. Hero's ex-wife, angry that she was finally able to sit next to Zixuan, who let her sit next to him. That pig. It's disgusting in her opinion. Two girls collide. Yutan demands that she hurry up. Yonghui can't do that in front of everyone, but she can't go against her opponent. It gets in the conversation. Zixuan, who notes that Wu notices that a friend had a conversation with Lin Mo. Girl, she rejoices inwardly, because the guy helped her. She goes to the emperor, saying that she must make it clear that the prenuptial agreement was just a joke among adults. Actually, a cousin from the very beginning. I wanted to chat with Sister Yu. He makes an attempt to start a conversation. First, he introduces herself, then clarifies what she likes, and then notes that she is good at games, right? That he could play with her. The blonde cuts off all conversation, telling him to shut up. Zixuan is startled by the other party's words. He notices in his mind that he's not going to be quiet, right? Also these spirits, it is better to sit with an old man, since you can lean on a soft one. Thus, it stops and drops off schoolchildren who are amazed by the height of the mountain. One of the guys asks Zixuan to borrow sunscreen. My cousin asks if they're halfway to the top. Yang Hui asks him not to worry, because she is the only one who can help him. Help him when the time comes. The girls exchange knowing glances. They have a simple plan. As soon as the guys are tired, they will help them climb the mountain, and then they will not be able to get up. Not only can they eat tofu together, but they can also get closer to each other. After that, Sung commands, move out. After half an hour, they stop to rest. Guys complain that they have pain, my feet, and that they won't be able to walk anymore. The emperor realizes that these people are even weaker than him. Lin Mo steps aside, mentally wanting to crush them all for centuries, but he doesn't have the strength to do so. At this point, the girls begin to offer their help to the guys. Someone wants help with a bag, and someone is even ready to carry the guy on his back. Sun notices that, as expected, there is no one who can. He would take care of Lin Mo, and she wouldn't be able to take care of him herself, or else gossip would spread. 20 minutes pass. The fat man climbs the stairs to the top alone. It's hard. Lin Mo takes a small breather, admitting that in terms of physical strength, he is the weakest, though. These demons may be hypocritical, but they are very powerful. Sung looks back, noticing that his friend is almost there. I'm exhausted. She feels guilty for bringing him here herself, so she decides not to sit idly by. A neighbor offers to help him, but the emperor refuses her. Odd is moving forward. After all, mortals can't even imagine what he had to go through to become a human. The girl also suggests that when he saw his ex and cousin together, he himself became. Bring yourself pain. She can't understand why he's doing this. Sun is worried about his friend, noting that he should rest if he can no longer get up and she is later than him. He'll pick them up and they'll go ahead. The girls who got up before them are a little surprised. They admit that the fat man is strong, because they have already passed more than half. Guys are breathing hard, sweating profusely. They don't believe they can make it to the top. Lin Mo thinks he could have done it himself. Reach the top if you are more persistent. Chapter 1-7. The hero moves forward. His classmates are walking down the stairs. A friend encourages them not to run away after dinner. Then Yang Hui notices Lin Mo. She marvels at what he could do on his own to get so high. Sung also notes that he's not like the other guys who have the same personality. Exhausted faces, but he emphasizes that the walk was enough and the top was high. Because of what, everyone is exhausted, so the girl suggests that everyone go to a restaurant together and eat at her expense. The emperor declines this offer, wishing to see the landscapes from above. Yang Hui calmly lets him go. Which of the guys claims that if he wants to go, then let it go. But the neighbor at the desk does not believe that the fat man is strong enough for such a thing. 20 minutes pass. Dripping with sweat and losing a lot of strength, the guy still gets to the top. In a small open house sits Yutan, who mentally does not believe. To your own eyes. The blonde notices to herself that this is all rather sad, because he fell behind on the floor on the way, so even though he had climbed to the top, his classmates had already descended, so he would still behind. She thinks he's a jerk who made it to the top alone. Girl, he expects to be teased on the way back. Lin Mo didn't really care about that. The Reborn closes his eyes, sensing that there is indeed an aura on the mountaintop, even though it is not visible. And not much, but he can practice here. He notices that he still has a chance to win. Mo Zun, the hero, decides that as long as there is an opportunity to practice, he will come to this meeting. It doesn't matter how long it takes. Just then, Yutan's hand falls on his shoulder, and she is looking at him. She wants to know what he's doing. The guy replies that he's just admiring the views. The girl counts it. Boring. His stern face and silence irritate her. Lin Mo similarly counts the blonde. Boring, because in his world, there were many dead cultivators like her. The girl states that this place is occupied by her, so he needs to go down the mountain immediately. The emperor didn't. He understands why she's driving him away, because he can't walk anymore. Here the interlocutor throws him a strange bundle stating that it will only allow it once. She wants him to be her rival. Tomorrow, she is very bored, so she suggests going downstairs. Lin-mo opens the wrapper and sees a sandwich that has been bitten off. He makes a mental note not to underestimate the emperor. After all, in the past, he ate troops of animals for cultivation, and these are small things, and this is exactly as much as is needed for this body. He takes the lotus position, starting to clean up. Evening comes. The guy decides to call Sun and let her know that he is stay on the mountain for a few days. This surprises the girl, but decides not to resist it. So please don't overdo it. The Reborn one notices that nature is here, just gorgeous. The neighbor takes it for granted, warning him that he might call if you need anything. Then, he decides to call Aunt Lin Lai. Their conversation is very short. The guy just says he's going to stay somewhere for the holidays. That's more than enough. After that, Lin-mo walks over to the counter where a man in formal attire is standing. He, in addition, asking what the guy needs. The brunette learns about the cost of a single room for 2 months. He is informed that it will cost 8,000 yuan. The guy agrees to this price. And so, Lin-mo began practice during the holidays. Every day, he would climb the mountain, meditate on it, and then I used to bring the body to exhaustion in the gym with the help of iron. 2 months pass quickly. Sun calls him on the phone from the backseat of the car. She notices that it's coming soon and asks if he's ready. The guy gives a positive response, thanks for what she will pick up. It turns out that the girl decided to take advantage of the debt from a neighbor. When the neighbor hangs up, then she mentally curses at her friend because she hasn't communicated with anyone all these days, and Zhao Yutang. In general, I tortured her. A representative of the fair sex decides that she should drag the guy to the U-town. Lin-mo looks at herself in the mirror reflection. Fat is gone, and instead of a huge belly, there were abs cubes, but he is not happy about it, because the spiritual power leaves much to be desired. He realizes that he will have to continue pretending to be a high school student. Sun knocks on the door. The hero opens up to her when she is happy that she finally caught him. Here, the girl finally turns her attention to her friend. The pupils of her eyes narrow. In front of her is a handsome young man. She nervously notices that she went in the wrong place because she was looking for her own. A classmate. A neighbor pays attention to her long legs, feeling that her heart is not beating. It holds up. She had already come up with a name for their child. She apologizes, starting to leave. In her mind, Sun curses herself for staring at him for so long. Pretty boy, because he might think she was a pervert. Then Lin-mo finally notes that I got it right. The girl still can't believe what she saw, considering that she met an acquaintance of a friend in room 107. Here the Reborn declares that he is Lin-mo. The beauty freezes for a few seconds, then says that Tom should not joke like that, although she admits that their voices are very similar. The hero claims that he just lost weight, so he doesn't understand why she's so surprised. These words unsettle Sun, so she says, I'm not sure. Decides to clarify what it means for the other person to lose weight. Just a representative. The fairer sex sees things differently. Back, hair color, legs, all this changed at a young age. A person, it's like it's been completely updated. The emperor grabs his bag, asking whether the car has already arrived. The interviewee gives a positive answer. Then her friend realizes that the guy has a very cold look and tone, so it really is Lin-mo. The girl realizes that she is facing a real dream. She admits that she told him that fat people have potential, but she never thought it would be true. Sun gives himself a sobering dream to come to his senses. A representative of the fair sex. Mentally praise yourself from the past. After all, she never laughed at Lin-mo because of his weight, right? That their relationship should be fine. She rushes out of her seat, wanting to help the guy with a bag. He is already approaching the car, where another girl approaches him, wanting to help with things. Sun takes off, telling her rival to stop it. She runs to the car and opens the door to the guy, inviting him to sit down. When the three of them are driving back, the girlfriend starts conversation. At first, she notices that everyone would think that the other person is some kind of idol. Then she wonders how he managed to lose weight so quickly, and if he ever climbed every day on the mountain. Lin-mo gives a positive short answer. Beauty doesn't believe that it's possible to lose so much in just one vacation. She praises the guy while doing a few compliments. Sun notes that he's done a great job, so if Yang Hui could see him now, she'd be leading the way. She acts like a little dog, but she encourages him not to pay attention to her, because such people are just like her. They bring trouble. A friend notes that a friend has become a real handsome man, so on. A lot of girls will pay attention to him, but he should not stare at them, because they are They only want to be with him because of their looks. Lin Mo asks her to keep her voice down. Beauty. He is afraid of this tone, believing that all this is due to the attitude of society towards the guy earlier. She also suggests that if she had been kinder to Lin Mo, he would have fallen in love with her. However, Song. She realizes that she still has a chance because compared to others, she is the closest to Lin Mo. A friend says that the guy should have a good rest because all the holidays he worked hard, and she is ready to treat him to something delicious. The emperor refuses this offer, wishing they'd just take him where he needed to go. The rest of the trip takes place in silence. When they reach the hero's house, the latter says goodbye to the girl without words and leaves. Meanwhile, a conversation starts between the driver and the girl while Yunshu is enjoying himself. Lin Mo's beautiful back. The driver notices that the interlocutor said that she wants Lin to. Mo met up with Yutan. Sun refuses these words and decides to go home. She can't send Lin Mo the sheep to Yutan the wolf. She wants to use his account later to deal with Yutan, even if the game is fine. At this time, the hero enters the house. Trio relatives immediately tense up, not recognizing the young man opposite someone. A friend. My aunt immediately rushes to find out who he is and how he got here. The emperor again. He gives his name, noting that he just lost weight during the holidays. My cousin doesn't believe that, considering them nonsense, because even if he had lost weight, he clearly would not have become like the interlocutor. Zixuan thinks that the handsome young man is just pretending to be Lin Mo. Aunt shuts him up, asking the hero if he has had plastic surgery. The Reborn one doesn't understand how he should. It was possible to make it if all his money is under her control. He starts eating, asking, I don't know if you'll have any pocket money this semester. Lin Lai tells him that she will give him money and help him with his school uniform. But if he doesn't want to go to school, then he will have to go to school. If she dares to do something inappropriate, she will immediately take all the money. Lin Mo gets up from the table. By agreeing to these terms and conditions, he adds that he is full and goes to the second floor to his room. A room. At that moment, the woman realizes that Lin Mo is indeed standing in front of her. To the next day, two guys ride in a car driven by a girl. Zixuan notices that his sister, it's going too slow today. In fact, the beauty just can't take her eyes off the Lin Mo, who had changed a lot since their last meeting. When do they arrive at school? And the Reborn leaves the car, all the students admiring his physique. They are not. They know who it is, but several girls notice its beautiful long legs. Such a reaction. Those around them are angered by their cousin, who curses them. As Lin Mo walks through the corridors of the school, he realizes that everyone present is behaving inappropriately, because they take pictures of him from behind. Entering the classroom, the guy feels the eyes of girls who do not know him. They may look away from it, assuming that someone new has transferred to them. Sitting down in your seat, the guy understands that after losing weight, he began to look a little better than other people. Through windows in the classroom are watched by a crowd of fans, each of whom wants to attract the attention of a handsome man. He doesn't think he's that pretty, though. The emperor understands that the reason for this attraction is spiritual energy comes to him. Here two girls enter the class. One claims to be a sister, blatantly deceiving her. Yu Tang brings Song by the scruff of the neck to class, wanting her to bring her back in 3. Give her the fat man. The same one declares that he is no longer fat. Blonde asserts that the mouth, the other party, is rotten, so she will only stop crying when she sees the coffin lid. Yunshu, he wants to justify himself. The neighbor abruptly points her finger at the last desk, saying that Lin Mo just lost weight. Everyone in the room starts laughing at this, and Yutan thinks she's playing with her. There's a hero here. She decides to step in, noting that Yunshu didn't lie, and if the blonde is so eager to arrange, if there is a battle, then you will have to wait for the end of classes. The girl doesn't understand how a guy dares to do that. Communicate with her. Song once again confirms that this is indeed Lin Mo, who has spent all the time in the past vacation on Mount Waju and lost weight. Yutan looks up, comparing the guy now and 2 months old. Beck, there are indeed similarities between these two people. Yu Tang walks up to the hero's desk, asking if he's really that fat guy. The guy demands not to be named. It's like this. Such an answer makes the girl recognize Lin Mo in the interlocutor, because this is what she says. Voice and manner of speech. The blonde notices that it doesn't matter if he is fat or thin, because he is in a bad mood. In any case, you should stay after school. Yunshu tries to protect his friend by saying that, in fact, she had only called Ling Mo to help her, and Ling Mo really didn't want to help her at all. Knows how to play games. These words anger Yutan, who says that her sister doesn't dare to say such a thing. His game, because it is nothing of itself. The blonde emphasizes that the girl I used his account to call her and still haven't paid for it, so she, the most unscrupulous person she'd ever met. That's when Sung realizes what it is. A real disaster. The neighbor actually cheated on Zhao Yutang for Lin Mo's sake. Two girls approach Yunshu, deciding, ask her how she knew that this handsome man was Lin Mo. One of them doesn't understand how that can look so good even if he has lost weight. Another suggests that it might be plastic. The teacher enters the classroom, asking everyone to go to their seats and get ready for the lesson. When everyone fulfills the woman's requirements, she admits that she doesn't even know how to pass them. Holidays. Then her sharp gaze turns to the last desk. She doesn't recognize Lin Mo, assuming that he just got the wrong class. Yunshu is responsible for the guy, who claims that my friend just got in shape. The woman notes that it must be hard to change in a short time. Just a vacation. She suggests that he change his place this semester. My desk mate is against it. Then it turns out that all the girls in the class want to take Yunshu's place. One beauty declares that Sun wants to switch places with her. The latter claims that this did not happen. Another, a classmate, notes that she has grown up and should sit in the back. Yunshu asks her not to make it up, because Wang Lu even came to her in her underwear. The girl is ready until the very end. Guard your place. The teacher asks Yunshu to get up from her seat. It hits her, and the two classmates help her get to a new place. Then one of the guys asks Yu Zixuan, did Lin Mo get plastic surgery? He doesn't even know. The teacher asks to sit next to Lin Mo Lai Jian. Song is put in Lai Jian's place. The latter, by the way, is quite plump. Boy, the hero is glad that his new neighbor is also calm, because now no one can see him. It will be annoying. While Yunshu is crying from what happened, the lesson ends quickly. As soon as the bell rings, the emperor rises from his seat. A crowd of girls immediately approaches him. The first one notes that the guy is very cool, because she died after climbing the mountain, and he climbed every day. The second girl asks for a couple of tips for losing weight, because her brother also wants to do it. In return, she would buy him dinner. Yunshu tries to make her way through the crowd, realizing that they are all hypocrites, because no one was willing to talk to Lin Mo before. But when Lin Mo changed, all of them had been carried away, but she hadn't disliked him to begin with. Hero, calm down. He approaches the crowd and asks to be allowed to pass. The girls immediately step aside. Some of them, I even like that Lin Mo is their dynamite. Zixuan finds it disgusting. A classmate. They notice the reaction of the pretty boy in class. One of them understands that a person cannot sit at once on two chairs. The friend declares that she chooses Lin Mo. The emperor goes to the dining room. One of his classmates calls him to her, claiming that he can join the queue with her. He refuses, going to the end of the queue and mentally noting that it is unlikely that he will be able to avoid attracting attention when it is in. Sometimes he feels the closeness of women who seem too crazy to him. At this point, Yang Hui looks at the hero and decides to ask his cousin if it's really Lin Mo. It makes the guy angry. After all, he understands that she began to regret parting with him after he got prettier. The blonde claims that she is a superficial person, so she does not care about his appearance. The conversation is interrupted by another girl who wants to make a pass at Lin Mo, so she asks for help from friends. Zixian can't believe his ears, because he still believes that the relative did plastic surgery. The same one claims that it doesn't matter what he did there, but most importantly, what impression he made. He produces, so she likes him for his character. Yang Hui understands that this is a real hypocrisy. Then she comes to her senses, realizing that these men have clipped their eyelids and claimed that it is not. Well, that's hypocritical. But what if she could become a leggy beauty like Lin Mo? Even if the legs were artificial, she would have agreed. At this point, the girl claims that she is determined. The Reborn takes food from. He is about to leave school for lunch, but a girl blocks his way. He decides to find out what she wants. Yang Hui decides to apologize for the things she did. He must, to understand that the incident was very unexpected, and she was immersed in her studies, and when they told her about marriage, and she couldn't accept it. The hero simply passes by without expressing any emotions about it. The girl, realizing that she was simply ignored, asks him to wait. Lin Mo stops, asking what else. Yang Hui asks to forgive her, because all that she has done is to forgive her. I said it was too hasty. The emperor responds with a meaningful HM, after which he leaves. She doesn't understand why he's so cold. She assumes that the guy has changed. Because of her, he wouldn't change his mind, so he didn't forgive her. As he walked down the street, the emperor realized that there was no one on the roof right now. Then he notices a friend, the figure of a girl in front. He understands that this girl is planning to take over the roof again. Lin Mo. She notices that even though it looks childish, the Emperor loses to her. He quickens his pace. The girl notices this, realizing that this man is following her. He reminds her of a fat man, even if he doesn't know what to do. It looks much better than that one. The hero quickly passes next to her. Beauty exhales, admitting that he didn't want to do anything to her. That's when she notices that he really wants to go to the roof. The demon catches up with the hero on the stairs. She wasn't going to give in to him. With a confident and fast step, she steps around him, pushing forward. The Emperor notices that the girl has also sped up at him. The assumption begins to appear that she wants to squeeze out his place. It speeds up by exiting. Go ahead and notice to yourself that even a mortal can make a mistake. The demon doesn't intend to surrender. Their eyes collide for a moment. They are annoyed by the situation, but none of them are. I'm not ready to accept defeat. They rush forward. The girl begins to lag behind a little, mentally noticing that guys should be more active. Restrained, she knows she's giving in to him now. The brunette does not understand where the guy came from. Such speed, however, she believes that if she loses, it will be a disgrace to all the girls. At this time, a classmate of the hero looks with incomprehension at the stairs on which they climbed. Clouds of dust from the couples run. The demon decides to ask what's going on and why Lin Mo is running. The same notes that she does the same thing herself. The girl claims that the guy first started running, so she ran too. The hero calls her sick, not seeing the connection between his running and hers. This insult makes the brunette lose her temper, so she warns the interlocutor that such an insult is not possible. A guy who is always fighting and arguing with girls is at risk of never getting married. Reborn. But he doesn't want to, because he's a tall man, the Emperor, so he just can't get married. The guy decides to respond with a tease to the girl's words, saying that she has no manners, so she's also trying to pick up a guy. The demon isn't ready to lose, so when they get close to, she blocks his path with her arm as he steps out into the street. Lin Mo does the same thing, letting her go ahead. They start to fight, pointing their fists at each other. Each of them orders the other to leave. The Emperor understands that he will have to use brute force. He doesn't hesitate to push the beauty away, getting in front of her. At this point, he touches his elbows, her sensitive area, causing confusion to the opponent, which translates into embarrassment. Lin Mo declares that the girl has lost, and this is his territory now. The demon doesn't understand how it works. She dares to act like this without even knowing who she is. It also reminds you that the person you are talking to is only one person. For touching her pineapple. At these words, the beauty approaches the guy. The Emperor is the same. Prescribes her savory bream, stating that it was she who touched this place to his hand. These actions put a girl in a stupor. Lin Mo makes a mental note that it was very dangerous. After all, he had forgotten that men in this world are quite vulnerable, so don't be too calm. It would look strange, but this way everything should be more or less normal. The demon clenches his fist, angry at what was happening and not believing that it was all her fault. The guy gets it. Phone, saying that if the girl didn't leave, he would call the police. The interlocutor is the same, is furious. She wants to wring the neck of an arrogant mortal with every fiber of her being. Lin Mo clarifies what she needs and whether she wants to do something else. The demon doesn't know what to say. After all, she understands something. In this world, women who beat men are despised. If he does, he won't be able to stay in school. The girl realizes that the enemy deliberately put her in such an awkward position, but she has to say something. She is aware that even anyone who thinks sensibly may be biased, so you need to destroy it. The girl points at the guy with her finger, stating that she will let him go this time, but next time, if she does it. She starts walking away, saying that men and bad guys are so hard. Nurture. The guy sits on the roof, noticing that he coped, but this woman makes him a lot of trouble. He decides to watch the news, because it was supposed to come out. Continuation. What he sees surprises him. The amount of compensation was too large. Therefore, it was cancelled after an appeal of the court's decision. Thousands of chickens at the poultry farm, suspected of being infected with the virus. Overnight, they became corpses. The hero does not understand what kind of corpses we are talking about, because the demon lord has the most durable sword in the world, and everyone who touches it will become dry bones. It assumes that this is a job, his sword, but in the final battle, the demon lord was destroyed along with the void. The imperial sword was also destroyed, and then it ended up here. After hearing the latest news, Lin Mo assumes that Mo Zong is also alive. The demon lord had killed, and he had chosen a heavenly path to become an immortal. She needs to kill to regain her strength. The hero is not. They allow her to recover. He decides to see the whole situation with his own eyes. Evening. It comes unnoticed. The hero leaves the classroom in a hurry. One of my classmates is in love. She looks at him with her eyes, saying that even if it's plastic, she accepts it. A friend asks, she has to come to her senses because people are staring at her. Yunshu also reminds that the guy needs to play with little sister Zhao and then she can pick him up. The emperor replies that it is not necessary. Then Sung notices that it's better to go together because Tom won't be able to do it. It's worth looking at little sister Zhao because girls are real predators. Girl tells about a guy who was deceived by his classmates and then he jumped from the roof to the ground. The next day, the hero asks not to snuggle up to him and emphasizes that he did not intend to go. The interlocutor understands that the friend misunderstood everything. Then she notices that he's leaving, so she says, "I'm sorry." Nervously, he asks if he's going to do it again. The brunette explains that he is in a hurry, but the beauty reminds him that Yutan has been hunting for him all the holidays. Lin Mo decides that he has. There's no time to deal with all this right now. Yunshu claims that he can go and not worry about your little sister because she will explain everything to her. In fact, Song's head appeared. A brilliant plan. She believes that if she constantly helps him, then he will thank her, which will only increase his affection. The hero gets into a taxi, leaving to the poultry farm, which is located near the outskirts, because if this is true Vladika of the demons, he will do everything to prevent her soul from being restored and destroy it. Lin Mo gets out of the taxi. He understands that the Imperial force is very small, but it is necessary to somehow use it. The hero increases his perception and senses the presence of a demon. It recognizes in this cold demonic energy gave Mo Zong strength, realizing that the latter was still alive. Here next to, a motorcycle stops in front of them. This gets his attention. The girl takes off her helmet, saying that, "I saw him from afar." Yu Tang doesn't understand why the hell a grown guy would walk around in a place like this. The emperor is the same. He stresses to himself that their meeting in such a place cannot be accidental. He has one assumption. Reborn reports that he called a taxi home and realized halfway through that the driver tries to take him out of the city, after which he jumped out of the car. Blonde instructively tells him that he is not the same fat man as before, so he needs to be careful with women who think only with their genitals. Yu Tan talks about latest news. It turns out that teenagers are abducted and taken to the countryside, and then left in a prison in the basement, so she encourages the other person not to run into problems. Blonde, she asks him if he remembered the license plate of the car, because she's ready to call the police. Dark hair gives a negative answer. The girl exhales heavily, telling him that he needs to forget about it, and she's going to finish something and pick him up. The emperor is amazed that this woman dares him to give orders, but he assumes that she also came because of the magic here. The reborn person becomes more interested in this world. Here is a beautiful woman, tying a windbreaker on her belt, is returning. This causes confusion in the guy. Yu Tan notes that losing weight is very difficult, after which she asks him to stretch his head here. Then, she puts a biker helmet on his head, saying that it is necessary for his own safety, because otherwise he might cause her problems. The emperor leans on her motorcycle, the blonde one. There is embarrassment on his face, because he looks better than bikers from the internet. Lin Mo knocks. He ran his finger along the helmet, noticing that it was rather fragile, so it was unlikely that he could wear it. Use it as protection. The girl realizes that the fat man is really good, and then she abruptly he comes to, giving a mental slap in the face. She urges him to stop knocking, because it's hers, a custom helmet, and if he breaks it, she will throw it away, and it will get stuck somewhere in the water. The village. After a few seconds, the reborn realizes that this girl is heading straight for the source. Energy consumption. He feels something is wrong, so he takes off to check his guess. Yu Tan says it's here. The territory is fenced with a ribbon, but this does not stop it. She meets up with a woman who is sweeping the yard. She asks what the girl is looking for here. The blonde pulls out a gun from behind her back, noting that she saw her and didn't run away, which is very important. Boldly, the woman falls on her heel, amazed that a gun is pointed at her. She asks for, so don't joke around, because it's against the law. Yu Tan then clarifies that a fucking cultivator can know about the law. The woman hears that the cultivator is a shoe repairman, so he corrects her, saying that she doesn't do this, but just works on a poultry farm. In that, the moment a dagger appears from her sleeve, a gunshot sounds. A bullet hits the shoulder of a woman who begs not to kill her. The blonde notes that the interlocutor has excellent acting skills, but still needs to loosen her tongue. At this time, a strange energy begins to radiate from her gun. Her couple. In a few moments, the firearm turns into a sword. The woman fully declares that she is not She is a cultivator, and she did not harm anyone, but simply raised chickens. Besides, she doesn't have any spiritual energy, so she did it. Yutan notices that today, it improves animals, and tomorrow people. She suggests that the interlocutor improve themselves, because at least, she's had a bit of practice, but is full of talents. Cultivation is comparable to by cultivating as a monk for 10 years. A woman's face changes because she recognizes the girl's rightness. A killing intent appears in her eyes, and sharp claws grow on her fingers. She is going to pounce on the blonde, believing that after the murder the latter will become many times stronger. Yutan points out that it would be nice, but the opponent won't be able to do it. Blonde snaps at a woman who has begun to change her form into a demonic one. Her body, it turns black, becoming covered with a layer of muscle. The girl's sharp sword pierces her, but it doesn't. It has a serious effect. The Emperor watches from a hiding place, knowing that this is a bad thing. After all, this energy resembles the aura of a demonic sword, so the woman is strong. For a woman, it grows a beak like a bird's, and Yutan is amazed at what he sees, because this aura is not at all like a bird's. Those cultivators that she had met before. Huge wings appear behind the demon's back. Height, the monster is twice as tall as a blonde. The demon attacks sharply. Her claws sweep through the air, a few inches from the girl's eyes. Beauty jumps out of the way of the impact, the shock wave from which destroys the stone. The fence is 10 meters behind her. She knows that if she hadn't dodged, she definitely wouldn't have. I survived that blow. The girl decides to use her trump card, because there is no way out. Demon. He raises his fist to strike, and the blonde throws a piece of paper. This is a spiritual sword talisman that stabs the enemy in the head. Yutan already considers himself the winner, but the opponent opens the door. Eyes. This comes as a surprise to her. In the next instant, a powerful demon strike overtakes the beauty, driving her into a stone wall. A painful cough comes out of the blonde's mouth, accompanied by blood clots. She realizes that she really lost this time. Then Lin Mo stands between her and the demons, who looks at the opponent with a confident gaze. Yutan marvels at this development. The girl quickly comes to her senses. She calls on the guy to run, because she believes that all his attempts to run away are worth it. Useless. The same one asks you to trust him and just don't look back. Lin Mo's forehead appears, mark, and he summons a magic sword, releasing his power. The demon stops, breaking. Your attack. Yutan immediately notices this, not understanding why the enemy has stopped. The Emperor explains that the reason for stopping the monster is its appearance. The demon starts, tremble, and then completely intends to run back. The hero's hair grows back to the shoulder blades, acquiring a white color, and from behind appears his divine image, which is in the form of an entity. It puts pressure on all living things in the area. The demon is literally driven into the ground, but so is Yutan. It doesn't get too bad. She falls to her knees, unable to even breathe. Looking at the fat man's back, the girl tries to figure out who he is. At this time, the Gyuan Temple in Liabe City is hosting some advice. The main master on it says that the husband gives birth to heaven and earth, yin and yang. It contains everything that exists, and those who are not easy to learn are called Taoists. He also notes that encouraging morals, correcting discipline, and achieving immortal karma are their goals. Here it is. My eyes widen in shock. Students jump up from their seats as the bell rings. One of them asks the master why the Yuandao bell is ringing. Another notes that the bell rings only when something important is happening. The master falls to his knees. Students run to him, trying to figure out what's wrong with him. It happened to him. The same one says only one word: rebirth. At this time, the Emperor asks the enemy where the demon lord is. Then he notices that the enemy is moving too fast. I've lost my spiritual powers, so it's only a fragment of my power. Lin Mo drains the energy from the creature, turning it into a crystal. This may be a challenge for him, but even a fragment can be useful to them. After that, he turns to the girl. Yutan looks at the boy carefully, admiring his beauty. The hero uses his power, telling her to forget everything she saw. A moment later, the blonde falls to the ground, losing consciousness. Conscience. The hero also realizes that this is Zhao Yutan. She's 17 years old. She has a soul, qualities, and the last level of Kai purification. Even in the world of immortals, it can be called a true genius cultivator, but it also proves that she has a special power. However, the Emperor thinks that in this world, it doesn't matter how talented you are, because it's just useless. Then the guy's heart skips a beat. He feels that he is getting worse. It's all because of the leftovers. Souls. He wants to believe that it won't hurt him too much. He grabs his heart, starting to walk home, realizing that it is necessary to return faster. Suddenly, two pumped-up girls get in his way. Young ladies. One of them throws a hand over the Reborn's shoulder, offering to go to the temple. One nice place. The guy urges them to let him go. Otherwise they shouldn't blame him for rudeness. One of the girls wrings Lin Mo's hand, asking him not to be stubborn, because it will be very difficult. Rudely, the emperor also understands that he is seriously in trouble, because he has almost no strength left, which is why he does not can use it. Girls demand that the guy obey them, and he does not believe that on really so popular. Just then, Yutan appears behind the two girls, who has regained her senses. Just in time, she orders the two girls to leave, then attacks them. The opponent dodges the first blow to the face, but the blonde does not hesitate, holding the blow in the center, the torso that overtakes the girl. Her friend breaks down on the impudent girl, going to. He smacks her pretty face, but Yutan gets ahead of her by kicking her in the jaw. The blonde approaches the hero and begins to reprimand him for not resisting. She thinks he should have hit her as soon as he saw her. Lin Mo doesn't understand what's going on at all. The girl explains what and where to hit, but seeing a lack of understanding in the eyes of the interlocutor, asks if they know anything about male self-defense. The emperor is mentally amazed, because, does it even make any difference if he knows or not? Yu Tang walks past the guy, saying that they should. I need to get him back, and it's too weird a day. She throws it into the guy's arms. Helmet, ordering you to put on and get on the bike. Lin Mo does so, but he is very careful. He holds her by the waist. The girl notices this, so she asks him to take her by the waist, because he does not need to. Don't underestimate the speed. The Reborn fulfills the request, although in his world to embrace. The girl in this way was considered indecent, but here you can take the initiative and hug. It's so. It was a bit unpredictable for him. Feeling the speed of the vehicle, the guy admits that it is not so fast, because if he improves his sword, he will be able to fly even faster. After a while, they get to the hero's home. The latter takes off his helmet, thanks for the fact that the girl threw it, and she asks if she needs to pay. Yutan is angered by this question, because it becomes unclear for whom. The guy generally accepts it. She asks if he was sweating while wearing a helmet. The emperor gives a negative response, asking not to be called fat anymore. Here Yutan admits that even already, I forgot how fat he used to be. Then something dawns on her. She asks roughly. The guy ran it again. Lin Mo clucks loudly that he can't escape the beauty's gaze. Blonde reminds him that she told him to wait for her after school, so it's important for her to know why he's here. Escaped. The brunette notes that the family told him to quickly go home after school, because but you can't stay alone for long, and if he did, the girl wouldn't let him go. Then, Lin Mo stresses that as a girl, it's not too difficult for her to stand up to guys. This strikes Yu Tang to the core, but their conversation is interrupted by the phone ringing. The blonde picks up the phone and says that everything is over, although the target turned out to be very strong. Creature. Yutan says goodbye to him, noting that she still has things to do, but she remembers everything. By driving off to a good distance away, it stops. She liked the smell of his shampoo very much, and she liked it very much. Feels rather strange. Meanwhile, the hero decides to go back and level up. Bref, he is called by his cousin, who asks if he is looking for a girlfriend again. Emperor ignores this question. The girl accompanying him corrects the guy, saying that Zhao Yu Tan is quite interesting. The hero passes by, considering everything that happens boring. Zixuan, angry at this, and the girl tries to keep the guy from rash actions. When a reborn person enters his room, he sits down on the bed before he even reaches it. Floor. The guy tries to get his breathing in order, mentally noting that he can no longer use the power of the soul. Otherwise it may harm the body, but it can be practiced with a sword fragment. Then someone starts knocking on his door. He opens the door. On the threshold is Yanghui, who says that she actually only came for him. Lin Mo carefully analyzing the information, realizing that she had been dating Zixuan all this time, and now the bull is trying to catch two birds with one stone. Brunette wonders if all teenagers in this world are like this. They are received. At this time, the girl begins to hang noodles on her ears, saying that everyone is following her. The words weren't said because he was more beautiful, but simply the more she was with him. Her cousin, the more she realized that the person she had always liked was him, so she was so calm around him, which was why she could be rude sometimes. She says she's sorry, offering to start dating her, because that's what his mother wanted. Yang Hui even promises that get engaged to him next year and they'll get married right out of high school. The emperor slams the door in the beauty's face. The same woman says that she speaks sincerely and, if he wants to, she can even swear to it. The hero is mentally amazed that the girl wants to marry him. He can't lose face in front of his imperial lineage. Also, he thought that the cultivation of his mental state had reached its limit, but I didn't expect that simple words could touch his heart. The hero takes the lotus position and begins to concentrate on practice, trying to think only about improvement. It's coming. The next day, at lunch, the guy goes to the cafeteria, but stops him in class. A classmate who offers to come up and eat with her. He just ignores her, going about your business. Her friends are amazed by the beauty of this ice cube. In the eyes, the lovesick representative of the fair sex Lin Mo is becoming more and more beautiful, and even if she wore glasses, she would have felt like an Asada teacher. A friend notes that she has so-and-so. I have friends. At this time, Zixuan's company occupies one table in the dining hall. Yonghui distracts from eating, paying attention to the hero. A girl comes up to Tom, offering him a drink. Meet someone and eat together, but he refuses. Zixuan believes that becoming beautiful is not a reason to eat alone. His companion notes that he asked Lin Mo about how he lost weight, and the guy ignored him, fearing that someone will become more beautiful than him. Yonghui then gets up from the table, saying that she will call him eat because they're in the same class. The hero's cousin does not approve of this decision, not understanding the logic. Girls, because she knows that he hates him, but still wants to call him. As he does so, he grabs it by the hand. The beauty easily breaks out, noting that she will go ahead, otherwise Lin Mo can understand everything. Wrong. Zixuan shouts after her that if she leaves, she can't come back. Yonghui imagines himself in the arms of Lin Mo with his magnificent figure. Her imagination drives her to conclude that her whole life is worth it. At this time, the emperor does not understand how these women, they can be so annoying. Then Yutan calls to him. There's an awkward silence. The two guys whisper to each other. One believes that Lin Mo, Zhao Yutang, is captured from their class. Another notes that this is similar to the plot of a drama where an ugly guy becomes a handsome guy and is noticed by a rich lady. Yunchu also believes that it's all over for her, because practically all girls like Lin Mo, even Yutang shouldn't be an exception. The hero exhales languidly, realizing that this girl is calling him fat again. Here, he notices a familiar female figure starting to leave the dining room. He is aware that the roof is about to be stolen. He can't let that happen, so he breaks into a run. Girlfriend. However, Yutan claims that after the fat man has become handsome, it is impossible to approach him. Yutan starts calling the guy, but he doesn't pick up the phone. She gets angry, stating that if he dares to run away after school, then she will never leave him alone. At this point, the hero climbs up on that very roof. The girl beat him to it. She claims to be the first one today, so the guy should leave. The emperor claims that he won last time, so this place, it belongs to him. The demon clarifies that he let her go last time, but he knew that will defeat her again, won't it? The brunette emphasizes that if she can't accept it, then she should. You should just go down and leave without coming back for a loss. These words make the girl very angry. After all, he just forces her to leave, so she warns him not to get married in the future. On it, Lin Mo realizes that he has nothing more to say, so he is ready to fight again. A sinister grin appears on the demon's face. She pulls a small container out of her bag, calling to start a dispute with this. The emperor attentively watches the movements of the girl who is standing in front of him, spreads a go board on the roof and fixes it. She clarifies whether he will play. The bids are very high. Simple. If he defeated her, not only would he get the roof, but she would also fulfill one of his wishes. A wish. Lin Mo takes a sitting position, noticing that the other person will not be able to satisfy his desires. This doesn't make the demon angry, as she's played with her clone for tens of thousands of times. Years old, so he can't even imagine her skills. The hero also smiles, because he thinks that the emperor can't have any opponents, so she doesn't even have a clue who she's up against. Collided. After that, the game starts. Chapter 14. The game of Go begins. After a few minutes, the emperor is a little surprised that even after so much time the game is still going on. He assumes that the girl used to be master of the game of Go. She admits to herself that she didn't expect this boy to be able to be so good. Her situation is terrible. The bell rings, but the couple doesn't care. The demon recognizes that the situation on the board is extremely uncertain, and if she plays carelessly, then he will lose. It bothers her that they're walking side by side. Here Lin Mo emphasizes that if you can't handle it, then let him admit defeat. The girl calls on the guy to give up. The demon notices that classes are already over and it's already starting to get dark, so the guy should admit defeat and stop wasting her time. Lin Mo isn't ready to admit it. If it is a draw, then he must win. The girl is angry because the phone rings and she decides she won't use it again. She remembers that the guy's in the "you don't have to come home late at night in this world, or you might get into trouble." She decides to take a picture of the board, offering to continue the game tomorrow. Emperor accepts this offer. The girl starts to get up, but her legs suddenly give out. Because she'd been sitting up all day, they were just numb. The beauty falls on the guy while her good pineapples rush straight to the hero's head. The girl staggered away from the hero with a shrill cry. Her bewilderment quickly turned to a smile, annoyance with the anger that she wanted to vent on the guy with words, but Lin Mo beat the demon to it. His fingers tightened, then flicked her forehead. After that, he turned to leave the roof and said goodbye to her that she should have never attack him or he'll sue her. These words made the beauty think even more angry, because she was very annoyed that someone dared to threaten her. Mentally, she said she would show him when her strength was restored. She crouched down and began plotting tactics to bring this fucking mortal down tomorrow. As soon as the hero came out from the building, his phone rang. This is Yu-Tan, who is very dissatisfied with the fact that the guy dare not answer her. She wants to know where he is now. The emperor reports that he is still at school. Then the blonde tells him to go to the gate. Guy goes to the girl, realizing that in addition to school, Zhao Yu-Tan plays video games, but the level of her level is quite high, so he decides to go with her today to get to know her secrets. When Lin Mo gets to the girl, she says that he is too slow. She also notices that he wasn't in his last class at school, so she gets interested. Why is he still at school? He replies that he suddenly fell asleep. The blonde, of course, believes him, thinking that he just wanted to skip school. After that, Yu-Tan calms down, saying that I just wanted to settle a score with him. Then she hands him a helmet and encourages him to get on the bike. They go home to the girl. Lin Mo is given a pair of slippers, and then he enters the room. Spacious room, recognizing that her house is quite large. The blonde asks what he does. Yu-Tan asks him not to touch her things as she goes further into her room. The emperor looks around, seeing a fancy computer and various games, but they have nothing to do with cultivation. Then the girl decides to find out if her brother is too defenseless. On her face appears mocking smile. The emperor didn't quite understand the concept of defenseless. Blonde, I hurried to explain to him that he had gone too boldly to the girl's house when she called him. The brunette looked up seriously, asking if she still wanted to fight him. Yu-Tan, he notices that he doesn't mind, saying that even though he used to be fat, but now he looks like a fat guy. Not bad, and he won't lose any money if he loses. He touches it with his index finger, lifting the hero's head a little higher to get a better look, but in the next instant retribution awaits her. The guy doesn't hesitate to punch you in the gut. The other woman, knocking the wind out of her and telling her not to touch him. Lin Mo is here. He admits to himself that he could not have imagined that this man had such power, even if he had been so strong. The cultivator was knocked out. Yu-Tan explodes from his seat. A flame of malice appears in her eyes, because she is only a child. She'd touched him, and he'd hit her back. The emperor calmly responds to this, asking not to annoy him in the future because he can't stand such an attitude. The girl challenges him, claiming to win it in 300 rounds. An ominous aura emanates from her, and in her mind she is looking for a revenge game to torture a guy to death. After some time, they start the game. Lin Mo easily copes with all the attacks of the opponent, even without straining too much. Blonde, I'm amazed that she's never won, but she's lost 47 times. The brunette is watching for a while and tells the girl that he needs to go home. She asks for another one. He tried, claiming that she understood his tactics. Lin Mo notices that it's too late. It's late, so it's better to talk about it another day. Leaving, the emperor leaves behind a paper man, who under the influence of his power, it comes alive. Zhao Yu-Tan wants to give him a ride home, but the hero refuses, saying that he will call taxi. At this time, there is a person in the Hyunghui household who is very nervous. She noticed that Lin Mo missed a class at school today, so she wonders where he was. There's a girl calling. She picks up the phone, and apparently her friend asks her to check in on the group chat, arguing that there is something interesting there. Hyunghui does as she is advised. A friend then sees a message in the chat that Lin Mo and Zhao Yu-Tan are returning home. An unknown sender confirms his words with a photo. This news makes try to jump up from your seat. She becomes enraged, wanting to kill Yu-Tan. In a fit of anger, he demolishes a few notebooks from the desk. Hyunghui bites her lip, wishing Zhao would crash in an accident, because she dared to take her to Lin Mo's house. Here an unknown ominous voice notes that all this is just the beginning. Useless words. Above the beauty's head, a fragment of the Demon King appears, which asks if she wants revenge. Yang Hui looks around, summoning the ghost to appear. The fragment takes the form of a dark purple face, noticing that it doesn't matter who he is, because she just needs to know that he is. It can give her such power that she can achieve anything she wants. In that, the moment the girl notices the face of an unknown entity. This scares her, however, upon hearing the words. Maybe she's wondering if it looks like a fairy godmother from a fairy tale. The face is made doomed. The view, realizing that this person has problems with his head, after which the entity tells that she is the strongest magic sword in the world. Ju Yu, broken into pieces after a fierce battle, battles with the emperor, so if the other party helps him recover, then he will make her immortal. Yang Hui immediately promises that she will do whatever is required of her. Ominous, the entity grins in delight at these words. In the next instant, the girl's head comes flying. A powerful beam of purple light. A crystal appears in her forehead after a few moments. Yang Hui falls to her feet, feeling like she has lost all her strength. She asks why this is so. Happened. The entity that has become a part of the girl specifies what powers she wants to possess. The beauty immediately gives her answer. She wants to master hypnosis, so she asks, "Master, teach her." The entity notices that this is a great idea. He offers it. Ability, wandering souls that enter the dream. Yang Hui is already dreaming about how to take the handsome Lin Mo into your own hands. At this time, the latter returns home by taxi. He hoped that the time was not wasted, because he wants to see all the skeletons in the closet. Zhao Yutan. He activates the ability by starting to observe the girl through the paper doll. The blonde is sitting at the computer, swearing at herself, because she lost 40 times in a row. Seeing this, the emperor doesn't understand why she is still playing. He assumes that she is afraid that she will cease to be immortal, after which he notes that she can recover even before the last stage of Kai purification. Yu Tang continues to scold herself because she lost to such a person. The jerk. She encourages herself to play better. Lin Mo is hurt by these words. This is outrageous. So even without having a physical body, he wouldn't let her win. Then the beauty remembers that she still had things to do today. Yu Tan stretches, noting that she has too much to do every day. The hero follows her, hiding their presence. The girl takes off her casual clothes and puts on a formal one, a suit with a red tie. She opens one of the cabinets, which contains weapons and the mascot. There is a katana, machete, sword, firearms, and several types of grenades. The emperor understands that although these talismans are not of the best quality, they are rare in this world. They meet. He rushes out of his seat to follow her and find out more information. The paper man lands on Yu Tan's skirt in a few jumps. Past, he gets on a motorcycle and goes somewhere. The blonde notices to herself that Lin Mo's shampoo smells very good. After that, he starts to get angry, saying that this helmet already belongs to him. She walks into a beautiful building. The building then passes through the beautiful doors, ending up in the banquet hall. Host offers to raise glasses and bless the new couple on this beautiful day. After that, she passes the word to the bride. Beauty in a black wedding dress thanks all her friends and family, or relative, for coming to her wedding with Cheng Zixu despite the busy schedule. After that, she continues with her long speech, thanking the parents and all the guests for. Separately, Yu Tang takes an empty seat, deciding to wait until it's all over. Some time passes, and the host announces that the wedding ceremony of Zhu Linyu and Cheng Zixu is officially over. The celebration begins. The blonde stands up from her seat. The bride asks if her betrothed is tired, because ahead, another celebration. The guy claims that he started to feel better after making toasts. Just then, Yu Tan appears in the couple's line of sight. They immediately start to get nervous, and the guy even covered with beads of sweat. The bride steps forward and asks what's the matter. Blonde, she emphasizes that she has fulfilled the guy's wish, so it's time for him to go. New husband begins to transform into a huge wolfman. The clothes on his body are being torn apart by the huge explosion. Muscle volume, and he himself asks how it is possible to satisfy human desires so easily. The monster is about to attack Yu Tan, but in the hands of the latter is already a yellow piece of paper from which yellow energy emanates. A sword appears in the girl's hands. She dodges the werewolf's punch with a jump. Once there, in the air above the monster, she raises her weapon and strikes with it without hesitation. Monster, he falls to the floor, clutching at his bleeding eye. Yu Tan also strikes a second blow, during which the monster thanks her. The blonde calmly steps away from the falling werewolf. The bride is the same. She breaks down to him in tears. The newly made husband mentally asks for forgiveness from the girl, because if they had taken him, he would never have seen her again. He thinks it's better that he was just killed here, because then she will definitely be compensated for it, and she will not need it. Nothing for the rest of my life. The fur begins to fall off his skin, and he turns into a normal person. A person, even though somewhere in his heart he is very ashamed that he died right in front of her. One of the guests is shouting about murder. The bride falls on her knees in front of her beloved, asking him not to die. Tears trail down her cheeks. He grits his teeth, begging for someone. Call the police and ambulance. After that, she turns to Yutan, saying that she will kill her. The latter explains that she does not know her husband, because he absorbs female energy, and therefore seems like such a good hubby, and none of the benefactors have a good ending. After that, Yutan turns around, noticing that the bride might hate her. It's her fault, but she would soon forget everything. From the hands of the blonde to the ceiling flies the seal from her hands, from which the light emanates, a strange blue glow. The girl urges everyone to forget about what happened. Everyone around you. They fall, losing consciousness. Yutan also takes out his phone and calls someone to let them know that everything is ready, so he can come and clean up the place. At this moment, a piece of paper flies off the beauty's skirt. A human figure. The hero runs up to the dying werewolf, mentally noting that he can be useful to him. The emperor uses his power to force the boy's soul to occupy the body of a small paper doll. 20 minutes pass, and a transformed paper man who now looks like a small semblance of the wolfman reaches Lin Mo. The dying man himself falls into the darkness. He doesn't know if this will be his end. He is happy that he managed to get revenge, but in his heart is also full of sadness, because he won't be able to be around you. Then the young guy hears the voice of the emperor asking him if he wants to die or be born again. Cheng. He stresses that he doesn't want to die, because he has so much to say to Zhu Lin Yu. He believes that no matter what he has to pay, he wants to live. He emerges from the darkness. On the surface, the emperor is waiting for him, floating in the lotus position in the sky. The hero offers to serve. The guy is 10 years old, and then he will give him a new life. After that, Cheng opens his eyes too. In the real world, the guy looks down at his hands, trying to figure out what's going on, because he's never been able to figure out what's going on. I've heard of such a spell. He looks up and sees an ordinary-looking young man, but then he's gone. Changes his mind, recognizing him as the most powerful young man he has ever seen. The little half-man half-wave kneels down, saying that servant Cheng Zixu is kneeling down in front of the master, and he thanks the master for the opportunity, so he will do any job. Lin Mo gets straight to the point, wanting to know more about today's intern. Cheng doesn't mind, but the topic is quite broad, so he doesn't know where to start. Emperor suggests that it is best to start with your own improvement. It turns out that since there is no aura in this world, the trainees must go to a secret place in order to. However, the secret realms are restricted and are under the rule of sects. Even if the trainees will join the sects and they won't have enough strength, resources, they don't care. They won't allocate much. It was even worse for him as a male cultivator with no background. Once in the sect, it was destroyed by high-level female cultivators, and after that, the servants didn't have any resources for cultivation. Lin Mo clarifies that's how he became a cultivator. The subordinate gives a positive response, noting that many trainees may turn to evil cultivators since they don't have the resources. However, the world of evil cultivators has always been about killing. The brunette asks if Zhao Yutan from Phoenix Group is a good example. Cheng answers positively, adding that Zhao Yutang is not only the top genius of his generation, but also a member of the Zhao family, one of the 3 aristocratic families. The emperor also asks if there are any. This realm is immortal, or is it possible to become immortal? The subordinate has never heard of it. About this, then he asks permission to ask something. It's important for him to know if he can meet your lover during these 10 years. Lin Mo notes that if the subordinate ceases to be necessary for him, then he can do what he wants, but not disclose it. Your identity. Cheng rejoices inwardly, because he didn't even dream of meeting such a good person. Master after death. He notices that it is so easy to negotiate with him, so soon he will be back again. We'll be together with you. The next day, the hero takes a new assistant to school with him. Last, he watches from his briefcase in disbelief. He can't figure out why he's using it. The gentleman goes to school, and then he assumes that he just took over the place. Cheng. He carefully observes what is happening, noticing that the gentleman is much more popular than he is. I thought all the girls were looking at him. The wolf man admits to himself that the master is so handsome that if he were a girl, he would have fallen for him long ago. Seeing at the extraordinary mix of emotions on Cheng Zixu's face, the emperor stiffens, asking himself, I wonder if this world can be gender neutral at all. As Lin Mo walks over to his desk, he notices something unusual. In his shelf is food. It is suggested that it could have been Sun Yunshu, but this assumption quickly disappears when Yang Hui comes up to him, saying that she remembers that he likes it all, so she bought it. This is for him to eat. A cousin intervenes in the conversation of the two, who does not understand what it is. It means everything. He puts a hand on the girl's shoulder, demanding an explanation. The latter emphasizes that it's quite normal to buy food for your fiancé. These words infuriate Zixuan, who he calls her a brute and raises his hand to slap her. Yang Hui intercepts the kick in time, flying, urging the guy to stop. At this moment, Lin Mo mentally realizes that the probability of hitting Zixuan was 0%. The girl declares that you should stop bothering Lin Mo, otherwise she won't be responsible for herself anymore. These words are even stronger. They make the guy angry. His eyes get wet, and then he runs out of the classroom. Yang Hui notices he will go to his own place, but if Lin Mo is touched by someone in the future, then he will have to go to his own place. Just tell her that. Two classmates are listening intently to this entire conversation. Couples. One of them notes that as soon as Lin Mo became more beautiful, Yang Hui immediately changed their attitude towards him, that it is very mean. The interlocutor replies that the main reason is that Lin Mo is good at communicating with Zhao Yutang, which is why the girl is trying to stick around like this. It's coming. Midday. Everyone goes to lunch. Meanwhile, Yutang's friend asks Tu to pay attention to a group chat where everyone writes that a girl named Yang Hui is taking people away from her. The blonde doesn't know if this is being written by idiots, because she doesn't like this fat guy at all, so he doesn't like her. He can do what he wants. Then a voice from the side notices that Lin Mo is no longer a fat man. The two friends pay attention to Yang Hui, who has arrived at their table. Right in front of them, she turns to the emperor, offering to eat together. Yutan's friend immediately understands that it's time for a real battle. She also informs Yutan that Yang Hui hates her. Here, the blonde woman loudly demands that Lin Mo doesn't talk to Yang Hui anymore, otherwise she will kick him. Backside. These words make even the eternally unflappable hero lose control of his emotions. The brunette calls the girls idiots, then takes a bag of food and goes on his own favorite place. Yang Hui follows him. The emperor admits to himself that he did not expect that. Together with his cultivation, he will receive such a curse, so he admits that he will not be able to survive. Not enough practice. At this time, Cheng notices that the master is the only one who is jealous of Zhao Yutang. The blonde asks her friend if she thought she heard him swear at her. The same. He says it doesn't matter, because if she'd kicked his ass in front of everyone, he'd definitely have. If he hadn't married, she would have been responsible. Yutang decides to forget about it quickly. After all, it becomes a person with the surname He, who is so confident in himself that he climbed on it. Lin Mo makes it to the roof, where an eternal rival awaits him, urging him to continue the battle. The emperor can sense this fiery hostility coming from the girl. He suggests that she holds a grudge against him for everything. The emperor sits down and makes his move. The girl stiffens, cursing under her breath because the opponent made too difficult a move. But I also planned a counterattack. Lin Mo marvels at this girl's skill, because now he will have to think carefully before then to make a move. Then his phone starts ringing. He opens his bag, takes out his chopsticks, and starts eating. The demon is annoyed by this, so she asks if it is so boring for him to play. The guy says that this is not so, because it's just time to eat. The girl makes a mental note that if he eats, then sooner or later he will recover again. While there is an opportunity, it is solved. Ask the person you're talking to if they've seen a fat schoolboy on the roof. The emperor begins to sweat, answering that he had never seen it. The reborn one notices to herself that just from the thought of this fat man's ribs hurt her. So as not to be bored, he pulls out his phone. She catches a glimpse of it. A group chat that talks about a fat guy who has had plastic surgery and he became a handsome man. 2 photos are sent to a group chat. It's about Lin Mo, of course. The girl angrily asks if the other person knows the person in the photo. She shows the hero phone number with its old image. She exudes an oppressive aura. The emperor remains unperturbed, giving a negative answer. The girl doesn't understand why. He's trying to trick her. She quickly comes to her senses, assuming that the other person is just. He hates his past self. The demon asks the guy not to worry, noticing that she is not going to settle scores with him. She takes a jacket out of her bag and hands it to him, telling him that she's on her way home. I washed it, although I don't think it will fit the guy now. The hero takes the clothes and the interlocutor. He gets to his feet, concluding that they're tied, so he's a terrific opponent. Linmo also admits that the girl is very strong, because few people can compare with him. The beauty informs that from today the war between them is over. The hero stops the girl, specifying 2 wins out of 3. She confirms this, adding that my name is Han Xinyu. The emperor tries to remember this name, but at this moment from the pocket of his jacket, Cheng jumps out, complimenting his master on being so strong that everyone is beautiful. Girls fall for it. Here the Reborn decides to find out where the evil cultivators come from. Get resources. The subordinate tells you about the network of secret doors. Resources 4. Cultivations are controlled by families, and as long as people manage them, I will. Sinful desires are born. The secret door network has been around for many years and has never been used before. It was being destroyed. It has absolutely everything, and not only evil cultivators, but also others can buy resources. It all comes down to money. After hearing the new information, Lin Mo decides to find out how he usually made money. It turns out that Cheng carried out murder orders, but a quick way to make money is to find a mommy. At some point, this old pervert start giving him money. He notices that the master does not need to sell his body, but simply, you need to casually say that he does not have enough money. At this moment, the emperor's hand grabs the body, an impudent person who offers him such reckless things. He immediately admits that he was wrong. Hero puts the subordinate in his pocket, deciding to get home and see if he has any money. Use materials for making talismans. After leaving the roof and exiting the building, Lin Mo bumped into a blonde who immediately noticed he tried to pretend that he didn't know him, but that only made Yu Tang angrier. She quickly approached the emperor, reminding him that his ex had openly bullied her today. I made my stupid face and called her an idiot. The hero just shook his head, emphasizing that she's not his ex. Yu Tang also said that regardless of whether it was true or not, but she, a respected person, so the guy should go with her today. She asked him to climb up the stairs, assuring him that he would definitely give him a ride home later. The brunette pondered the situation. Obviously, he didn't want to agree, but he didn't want to give himself away either. The blonde clarified whether he sits down on his own, or whether he should be carried in his arms. These words prompted the Reborn to act. He decided to take the seat himself. Yang Hui was watching from the sidelines, and she was expressing an open reaction. Hatred for Zhao Yutang. A voice inside her asked why she couldn't just hypnotize him. The girl also stated that she wanted Lin Mo to completely submit to her. Sitting in the back, the guy still decided to ask if the girl would let him go. The last one, she called him naive, noting that he should not believe in the words of women. Lin Mo's here, after reading her thoughts, he demanded that the interlocutor better not think about such things. This drove me to paint Yutan, forcing him to stop. The hero began to take off his helmet, while the blonde clarified. Does he think she's going to chase him? The emperor is almost certain that it's true. Beauties, embarrassed by these words, tries to deny the obvious. It's just a good thing. A brunette who asks her to remember that they're just classmates and she shouldn't mess with them. These words bring the fair sex out of themselves, because so many men, they want to be with her, and if it wasn't for the games, she wouldn't even talk to him. At this point, Cheng admires the strength of his master because he imperceptibly managed to attach a paper bag to the girl. A little man made out of A4 paper. Yu Tang leaves, allowing Lin Mo to return home. The same thing. It is interesting to learn more about the network of secret doors, so once in his room, he will be able to find out more about the network of secret doors. Starts a conversation with his subordinate. The half-human half-wolf starts typing the name of the site on the keyboard, stating that if the master wants to use the secret door network, then the servant will immediately arrange everything. Emperor. He sits down on the site and reads a couple of ads. In the first, he talks about the best long-legged dog, a beauty that you can take if you're the one. The second one shows a unique secret system 7 times a night on a first-come, first-served basis. The Reborn still decides. Find out if this is the same magic site that the servant mentioned. The latter asks for the master. Take a closer look, because through these lustful women you can go to the treasure page. Through a few moments and a couple of mouse clicks, the hero goes to the site that was so important to him. Required. He doesn't really like what practice looks like in this world, because he doesn't know what to do with it. Low-level ones in the magic world, they turned into first-class ones in this world. Here it is. He notices that the cheapest stone and ginseng are worth 1 million. Cheng notes that if the master does not have enough money, he can find rich families and go to tricks to get rid of them. From them, The emperor glares at his subordinate, asking if he thinks he cares. Money. The interlocutor admits that the servant was wrong, and the master has great power and find another way. Here Lin Mo demands Cheng for his savings, if any. The subordinate refuses, because there are no more than 30,000 left on his account, which are. Having realized that a huge amount of money could not be obtained quickly and easily, the hero switches to another tab. Cheng immediately asks if the master wants to make a talisman. Realizing that he has hit the nail on the head, Cheng explains that with all due respect to Xiao, the price of the talisman is. It is very high and extremely difficult to manufacture, and he is also afraid that all the materials will be of poor quality. Characteristics. The emperor asks him not to worry about such things, because he is going to do low-quality mascots. Lin Mo goes back to practice. Cheng saw the master's purchase, mentally emphasizes that this is an extremely small resource for making a talisman. The next morning, the Reborn puts on a hood, mask, and glasses. He goes out to a point, getting things. A courier drives up to him and delivers everything that he ordered, asking him to deliver. It has 5 stars and wishing you all the best. The hero also understands that the transfer process itself has turned out to be very difficult. Simple as that. Cheng also says that the network of secret doors, like the aristocrats, has spread to. This world is everywhere. Some time passes. The emperor is at home. He's already unpacked it. He picked up the brushes he'd bought and gathered his thoughts for the talisman. The subordinate thinks to himself that he has already seen the masters of magic many times. Mascots, each of which worked with paper and ink, but the chance of success is only 30%. The guy exhales heavily, then gets down to business. Before Cheng could finish thinking, the emperor had already finished with the talismans. Subordinate. He was amazed at the speed of creating talismans, from which he can still feel the aura of a dragon in addition. Lin Mo asks him not to make a fuss, explaining that this has been done for thousands of years, although in his mind he says it was a pity that he only had enough strength for 2 talismans, so he would have to resort to buying one. Magic stones. The Reborn one immediately put the talisman up for auction and installed it. The initial price is 500,000. Within a minute, several customers appeared, who immediately began to raise the price. The emperor marvels at such efficiency. Cheng also explains, it seemed that magic talismans had always been very popular, not only among cultivators, but also with the rest of the world, and among ordinary people. For them, talismans are the most real treasure, which, according to them, is the most precious thing in the world. However, it can lead to immortality. This information pleases Lin Mo, but then he feels that the paper man was stirring. He gets in touch with it. At this moment, Zhao Yutang, sitting at the computer using secret doors. The blonde also notices that they belong to. People were treating her like animals for the boy's disappearance, but it wouldn't have been her fault. Bothered if it wasn't related to the previous monster. Here the girl stumbles upon the hero's talisman, which she sells at auction. Its price is already at 880,000. She immediately notices that he is very good, and with the help of this, you can prepare for a meeting with the creature. The hero also realizes that Zhao Yutang may still be alive. Useful to him. He also wonders if the case of the missing boy is connected to a demon lord. Lunch arrives. The emperor, as before, sends to the roof, but the Trinity gets in his way. The girl who urges him not to behave like this, because of this, everyone falls for him. Hero, it's getting serious. Yang Hui, who is getting bigger and bigger, is watching from around the corner. I like my ability more, because thanks to it, she hypnotized those guys and sent Lin Mo to cause trouble, wanting to come to the rescue like a real heroine, so that he couldn't ignore her anymore. The emperor is rude enough to ask the guys to leave with him. Roads. This makes them angry, because how dare any fat man tell them to do it. The leader calls for helpers. Hold him, wanting to see how he would be able to save his face in front of Yutang after this. The Reborn one grabs the leader's head with the palm of his hand, then easily overpowers him, driving him into the wall. The emperor glares at the 2 remaining guys. Their leader is clearly unable to fight after such a hero attack. They're going to attack him with their fists. Yang Hui, she thinks this is the perfect moment to show up. But the silhouette of a girl with a black face flashes in front of her. Gorgeous black hair, making her stop. It's a demon that summons guys. Stop and ask what they are doing. The bully who got hit in the face tells a story about that they just wanted to be friends with Lin Mo, and Lin Mo had pushed him sharply. The brunette doesn't believe me. To the whiner, thinking that he was the one who started all this. Yang Hui is angry because this girl dared to mess up. its output. She leaves her hiding place, running out into the stairwell and asking if everything is alright. "I'm fine with Lin Mo." She explains her appearance by saying that she heard that he was in trouble, so I came running right away. She makes eye contact with the brunette, thanking her for her help and remarking that he would buy her dinner another time. She grabs the hero's arm, starting to pull on herself. Then the brunette catches her hand by the wrist, declaring that it is not appropriate for a woman to approach and grab the boy's hand. This behavior angers Yanhui, who demands that the girl mind her own business. Emperor, he asks his girlfriend to forget about it, after which he passes by the blonde. The latter is included in a real frenzy, about to hypnotize him right now. However, Lin Mo calmly. He goes down the stairs. She realizes that there is no effect, and the entity inside her is asking her not to use the spell today because he has a bad feeling about it. At this moment, Vladika Demonov notices that she has heard about Yonghui rejecting him once. She passes by, noting that it was very stupid. The blonde grits her teeth until they creak. The veins on her face, they become visible to the eye. She exudes pure hatred and a desire to kill. The hero returns. After school, he goes home and sits down at the computer to see the price of his talismans. Auction ended. It turns out that someone paid 2 magic stones and 3,000 yuan for it. The mascot. The emperor notices that through the little man he saw that one of the applicants was Zhao Yutan. He remembers that the girl must be from the Phoenix group, so he assumes that his activities may be criminalized. The hero starts a conversation with a subordinate, reminding him that Zhao Yutang from his words. He is a member of the Phoenix group, which works to expel illegal practitioners and maintaining stability in the country, so of course, being in such an organization, it is necessary for the country to be able to do so. He can do whatever he wants with his money. Cheng explains that these are not the actions of the Phoenixes, for they had already cleared the secret doors several times, and if there was anything they wanted to do, they would have done it. Would do it directly. Lin Mo sees a few messages on the net under the auction. Customers want to meet it, a man, because some of them have business with him. This leads the hero to the conclusion that he needs to. He would have to keep a low profile, otherwise the entire world of cultivators would be looking for him. The brunette notices that he can finally feel like a luxury. He decides to see what progress is being made. Achieved by Zhao Yutan. Having established a connection with the paper man, he returns to the girl's house. Still investigating the missing boy case. All the people in her records are related to Yuanya's body, and have something to do with the demon. The blonde is conducting surveillance in real time. The reborn man admits that he did not think about the fact that she has such a habit. A man with looks like a girl or vice versa takes pictures of himself on the phone camera, claiming that it is amazing hairstyle. Yutang gets angry because it's not the hairstyle at all, but the overall way it looks. The goal looks like this. The girl continues to observe the target. Ta logs into the internet via computer, starting to watch and Google different things: photography skills, beauty, filters, cosmetologists, color lenses, thin face, thin waist effect, long legs effect, thin face effect. The neck. The girl can't stand it, closing her eyes and screaming that she's going to throw up. Yutang then remembers the fat man, remarking that it's not a good idea to do this alone with him. To the next day at lunch, the hero remembers these words, not quite understanding what the blonde was talking about. Here it is. The opponent in the game calls, emphasizing that if he is not in the mood to play, then they should move the game to another day, because it doesn't want to win without a battle. The emperor assures us that he's alright. The demon lord silently notes that the enemy, as usual, does not. He's going to admit defeat, but he doesn't feel any danger either. Lin Mo stands up from his seat. He goes to the edge of the roof. He wants to absorb the power of Yuan Yang, and to do this, he needs to create the formation. This kind of evil formation will only manifest power in places with heavy energy. Yin, the guy closes his eyes, standing at the edge. He says it would be nice if there was tea. Girl encourages him not to fall. The emperor goes to the exit from the roof. The eternal rival is waiting for him with a board. By facial expression. At this moment, Yang Hui is watching them from the entrance. When the hero enters the building, she demands to stop, for her sake. The reborn one decides to find out what's going on. The girl wants to say something, but the brunette interrupts the conversation, telling Yang Hui not to mess with Lin Mo anymore. From the latter comes a frightening aura, because this girl dared to touch her boyfriend. She runs away, stating that the guy needs to wait for her. The hero does not understand when he managed to become someone's boyfriend. In the evening, Yang Hui climbs into the tub. She admits to herself that she greatly underestimated Lin Mo, because she needs to I should have taken him away and locked him up from the start. She climbs out of the bathroom, starting to draw something on the wall. In the mirror, thinking that now everything will work out for her, Yanhui decides today to hypnotize him into becoming her submissive dog. In the dead of night, a strange dark energy bursts into the hero's house. She is fast approaching him, but the force of the Emperor is not asleep, repelling the attack. This makes the guy and his subordinate wake up. Chen, worried about the owner not understanding what it was. Lin Mo realizes that it was hypnosis. He realizes that he never imagined that someone in this world would try to hypnotize him. The Emperor. Morning comes. The brunette goes to her class. Yang Hui blocks his way. She asks for, then, without waiting for an answer, he leaves, giggling nervously, and asks her to come to her house tonight, mentally noting that she used hypnosis last night, so Lin Mo should submit to it. A grin appears on the face of the Reborn, because he immediately puts two things together. The fact that Yang Hui is the source of his hypnosis from yesterday. The guy leaves a paper man on the girl's hair, but after a couple of minutes he loses it. Connect with your creation. Yanhui calmly found the paper man and destroyed it. Using your power, Sword Essence is amazed that this bastard dared to follow them. The girl tries to understand who they contacted, and the Essence notices that it doesn't matter at all. After all, they must not let him thwart their plans. When lessons end, the Emperor leaves school. He realizes that since the little man has disappeared, either the Demon Lord is behind Yanhui, or a demonic sword. He also remembers that there are practitioners in this world, so he doesn't. He wants to act rashly. For this reason, he decides to contact the Phoenixes and Zhao Yutang, so that they can help him with his investigation. Lin Mo glances at his watch and notes that if his phone is turned on, it will be too late. If the calculations are correct, then Zhao Yutang should have already arrived for the meeting. A hero remembers what the world calls running into porcelain. He runs out onto the road, where he is hit by Yutan. The girl is amazed at this development of events. She immediately takes off her helmet and runs over to the guy, trying to figure out why he's there. I ran out without looking at the road. The blonde lifts the guy's body, asking if he's okay. Good. She's ready to take him to the hospital. The hero looks at his hand. Yutan remarks, woolen cloth, and the guy himself mentally notices that the Emperor has also learned to be bad things. Without another word, he gets to his feet, starting to move as if on automatic. Blonde, trying to figure out what's wrong with him. She grabs his arm. Lin Mo then replies that today is. In the evening, he should go to Yang Hui's house. Something clicks in the blonde's head. Yutan puts her hands on the boy's shoulders, urging him to wake up, but he doesn't respond to her words. Then she realizes that it could be hypnosis. Blonde uses her powers trying to dispel the power of hypnosis. In Lin Mo's eyes, not even a drop of consciousness appears. This leads to Tan concluded that her power had no effect on the hypnosis, which meant that the caster had been unable to do anything about it. Very strong. She focuses more energy in the palm of her hand, then slams her palm into the ground. The guy's forehead. After that, the brunette regained consciousness. His gaze became meaningful, and he asked how he ended up here. Yutan notices that she is also curious to know why he went to Yang Hui's place. Hero. He asks what his fiancé has to do with her. This causes embarrassment on the face. Female interlocutors. She says that the guy suddenly jumped out on the road, and she hit him, so he needs to go to the doctor with her. He claims that he is fine, and then he is going to leave. The blonde doesn't understand how Lin Mo can be back to normal after being hit by a motorcycle. The brunette declares that he does not want to go anywhere with her, and if she is so sorry, then she can translate. Money for medical expenses. The beauty grabs the guy by the scruff of the neck, pulling him to her end, calling for an end to this clowning. She hands him a check, noting that he's just afraid that she's not going to let him get away with it. She would haunt him. Yutan angrily leaves, urging the guy to pay for himself treatment, and don't you dare remind her of it, or she'll kill him. The Emperor looks down and sees a check for several $100 million. With this money, he wouldn't mind buying 100 spirit stones. After getting on a motorcycle, the girl contacts someone, asking for information about Yang Hui, a student. Fengsing High School. She suspects that she has something to do with the missing persons case. Voice from the other side accepts it. The blonde gets to the house of the former Lin Mo. She's filming helmet and summons his sword from the ring, then bursts into the house. There's no one inside, so Yutang quickly gets to the girl's room, where the walls are covered with hanging pictures. Photos of a young guy I know. The blonde looks down at the table and sees name of books. This makes her tense up, because they are called Lin's User Guide. Mo. Yutan decides to look into them. After reading a few lines, it is filled with red paint from and calls Yanhui a pervert. At this point, the voice over the phone informs you that a message has appeared. Something new. Yutan reveals that Yanhui is missing. Chapter 20. The blonde begins to analyze. Judging by Yanhui's actions, she really has attitude to disappearance. She asks that the alert group announce the arrest and search, because they have to find her no matter what. At this time, the hero also reflects on the current situation. It's not hard for him. It was obvious that Yanhui had contacted Mozong based on what happened to the person. But this one, Gordo, isn't the only place where a lot of people have gone missing. Yanhui might just be one of them. The Demon Lord's pawns, so he would have to try and find Yanhui as quickly as possible. At this moment, a knock on the door catches Lin Mo's attention. It's his cousin who's asking, did the guy read the latest news? Zixuan doesn't know who would want Yanhui. The hero notices that he doesn't know her very well. These words put the cousin in a stupor. However, the emperor has no intention of continuing the dialogue with him, so he slams the door in front of him. Zixuan runs to complain to his father about the behavior of a relative. It turns out that Yanhui was a suspect in a mistreatment and murder case a few years ago. The location of this person is now unknown and is still being investigated. A manhunt, and anyone who finds evidence will receive a reward. Seeing a photo of a girl on the web, the emperor admits that this team is working effectively. But there is still no news about Yanhui. Chen, it is amazing that such a cruel and ruthless woman wants to defame the name of the master. Lin Mo, however, he realizes that if the Demon Lord consumes Yuan Yang's power, he will inevitably create a formation, and it will manifest its evil in a place where the concentration of yin energy is high. The brunette starts looking in a paper box of something. The subordinate mentally wonders what the master is looking for. The Reborn takes out a few pieces of wood, then uses his power to transform them into some object. Cheng recognizes it immediately. This is the Sinan, a kind of compass. The guy notices that with the help of the Demon Lord's skills, the Phoenixes couldn't find Yanhui. This is only possible if there are no magical powers involved, so he has the ability to cleansing Sinan. The hero takes out the stone, finishing the creation of the artifact. Subordinate. He is amazed at the strength of the master, because he does not improve for a relatively long time, but already has such incredible power. The emperor asks him to remove this thing. Cheng accepts the order, wondering what Sunin is for. Lin Mo explains that it is used to find places with a lot of yin energy. Here, the emperor notices a movement outside the window. His subordinate quickly hides with a new item in his pocket. The familiar face of Yutan appears in the window, knocking on the window and smiling. The guy gets it phone while pretending to call the police. This angers the girl, who urges him to open the window. The Reborn still fulfills her request, after which he asks what she is doing here. The blonde asks not to talk nonsense. She wants to see where he was hit today.